Yes, these seats are very low, so as you sit down, be aware.
I know.
Watch yourself.
Thank you. You want to put your phone on top of mine?
Thank you.
Who's that?
Very scary.
Yeah, she'll take the walk away.
Need to move this out. No, you're wonderful. And this is very loud, so I don't think you guys are gonna need to like
Good.
eat it.
He's loud and waiting, because everybody was just like.
Get started.
Leave the mic now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November full board meeting of Community Board 8. I'm Valerie Nason. I'm the chair of Manhattan Community Board 8. Welcome to everybody in the room and welcome to all of you on Zoom. So we have a full agenda this evening and we're going to start out with the public session. And for a little variety, we're going to start out on Zoom with our traditional first Zoom speaker. She's not here. Oh my gosh, okay. Then we'll save the suspense as to who that is, for those of you who don't know. Our first speaker is then Dan Forstadt, followed by Zach Borodkin, and then Francisco Larios. And I apologize up front if I'm mispronouncing your names.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
No, sorry. Three things are happening. Ask them out there. If they don't have it, then it can happen. Oh, I think it may not have happened. If you heard your name called by the chair whenever we're going through the public session, what we're going to ask you to do to speed everything up is go to the react icon on your device and press the raise hand button. It'll help us be able to find you whenever your name is called on so that we can unmute you quickly. We'll have 2 minutes and you'll see the timer on our screen here and you'll hear an audible tone. Who was the first person? I'm gonna
Jan Forstadt, Zach Borodkin, and then Francisco Larios.
Jan, if you are here, you're not, raise your hand or chat me. Again, look for the reaction icon and press the raise hand button. And Jan was after Zach. Zach, if you are here, chat me or raise your virtual hand. Not seeing you, we'll move on down.
Francisco Larios, and then it's Joel and Sharon Lustig.
Francisco, if you are here, raise your virtual hand or chat me and we will call on you. Otherwise, it was Joel.
And then Sharon Lustig.
Joel Lustig. You can unmute. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting whenever we call on you.
Just to confirm, you have 2 minutes when you're speaking, whether you're on Zoom or in the room.
Joel, you can unmute. Joel, he's there. It may be we'll come back to you, but I'm trying to figure something out on my computer, so.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. Am I going first? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Joel Lustig. I live at 201 East 77th Street. I have 3 points I'd like to make. I'll be very brief. First, restricting access to the street would unfairly transfer a basic right and benefit, i.e. the use of a vital public space, from a large number of property tax paying residents and businesses to a relatively small number of students at a private school that's exempt from property taxes. Second point, the proposed closure from Second Avenue to Third Avenue would essentially deny use of the street during the business day to the more than 1,000 people living there. It would disrupt the lives of the residents and financially harm the restaurants, small businesses, and medical offices on the street. And then finally, orchestrating apartment moves. There are currently 4 in process in my building, that's 201 East 77th, is a challenging process, as I'm sure everyone knows. Closing the street will make it virtually impossible. Moving, arranging normal furniture deliveries and other deliveries will become vastly more difficult, if not impossible, if the street is closed during 80% of business hours. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
And sorry, Joel, is Aaron with you as well?
Do it from here.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Your 2 minutes have started.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. Your 2 minutes have
Hello,
started.
my name is Sharon Lustig, and I'm adamantly opposed to closing East 77th Street to provide additional playground space for the Birch Waltham School. It isn't necessary, it's unfair, and it's elitist. The school's website boasts a new fitness center for athletic and physical education programs, as well as a yoga center. Its students have the opportunity to participate in interscholastic competitions, intramural programs, and after-school tournaments. The students also participate in squash, tennis, and golf programs, as well as soccer, cross-country, basketball, swimming, volleyball, track and field, badminton, ice hockey, and lacrosse. Clearly, the school already has enviable opportunities for its students to engage in diverse physical activities without impairing the lives of 1,000 plus residents on our block. If parents of the students that attend BWL are unsatisfied with the school's facilities and offerings, for which they pay about $60,000 a year tuition, then they can opt to send their children to any of the wonderful public schools in the neighborhood, all of which have ample playgrounds. On a personal note, my elderly father is severely incapacitated. To visit me, he must be driven to the front of my building and, with the assistance, use a walker for a few steps to enter my building and the wheelchair that I have for him. This seemingly simple event is time-consuming and arduous. It would be impossible for my parents to visit me if 77th Street were closed. Dropping him off at the nearest corner on 3rd Avenue would not be possible, as that corner is a bus stop.
Thank you.
You wait to improve the audio, I can't understand anything they're saying.
No, unfortunately, that is as loud as that'll go.
It's not loud, it's
I know, you know what, actually, what'll help is if everybody doesn't talk and doesn't talk over everything, if everybody's quiet, and no gossiping or whispering happens, and no back and
You know
forth.
what, all I can ask you to do is, if you wanna take this opportunity to move down closer to the owl, it doesn't help.
So go on.
No, okay, I'm sorry.
Advocate for CUNY Foundation, Hunter has better.
Okay, thank you, thanks very much.
All
We'll
right,
have the electeds on and they can do that.
all right, the next person up is Todd Lane Opsink, then Toby Chansey, then Kirby Kersels, and then Matthew Spiegel, MD. If you heard your name just called, please go to the react icon and press the raise hand button so we can find you. Todd, Toby, Kirby, and Matthew. Todd, go ahead and unmute.
My name is Todd Lane Opsink. I am the owner of Todd Lane Cleaners. I have 2 storefronts on 77th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. This will be, we get about 50% of our business from pickups and deliveries, many of which are done with Uber. These Uber drivers will not understand that they have the ability to somehow get through the street. I listened to the phone call or on YouTube of your last meeting, and the representative from the Birch told 3 lies. She said all businesses were made aware of this. We were not. She said there's no doctor's offices on the block. Not true. She said it's very seldom that ambulances come down the block. Also false. It's continuous throughout the day. I don't know what else to say besides this will have a severe economic impact on my business, as well as the other businesses on the block. I have spoken with each and every business owner and doctor's office, and we're all very much against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Kirby, you're up next. Go ahead and unmute. Kirby, you can unmute. There you
Hi,
go.
my name is Kirby Cursells, and I live at 212 East 77th Street, right next to the Birch Wathen Lennox School. And I could not be more supportive of an open street on our block. I really firmly believe that kids deserve fresh air and to be outside, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity to do that. Furthermore, because of our block's proximity to both the 77th Street 6 train stop 1 block over and a very busy city bike hub also 1 block over, this will be a great opportunity to take back some of the space for the, I don't know, I guess thousands of people or hundreds of people, the vast majority of us who do not own cars, do not use cars, and get around by either walking or biking. Thank you for your time. And I hope that the community board approves this.
All right, Toby Chansey and Matthew Spiegel. I think Matthew is here, so let me search for him. Yeah, Matt, I can see you. Press the unmute button on your device so we can hear you.
Hello? You guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So I guess I have a few seconds. I'm going to do my best. Nice to meet you. I'm a physician on the street on 77th, between 2nd and 3rd. I work very hard. I'm still working in between patients, but and I'm also a father. I live in the area. I've lived here for the last 10 years. My kids go to school here, so I get it completely. And having said that, I know that there's a few schools that close the streets for drop off and pick up, and I see that routinely, and I think that's not unreasonable at all. I think that's very reasonable, but I think to close the street from the hours of 9 to 2 is a long time. That's a long part of the day. As a physician in this office, and there's a few of us physicians in this office, we here and there or routinely get patients picked up via Ubers and taxis. So it makes it harder if they have to go to the corner, for sure. And a lot of times staff escorts patients to the Uber to assist them. So again, that would be more disruptive if they have to go to the corner. So that is my consideration. I hope it's taken into consideration, and with all due respect. It would be very helpful at the minimum if, because someone mentioned that Ubers can, medical cars can kind of go through, but I don't know how that would work if like an Uber that doesn't have a patient in it yet gets through, because the Ubers or the taxis don't know. That is my thought. I think if the hours could be more limited to drop off and pick up, I think that makes sense. Or, those are my concerns or thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Wrong button. Next, Toby Chansey, if you were there, David Kessler, George Gula, and then Andrew Fine. And again, if you hear your name called, we ask that you go to the react icon on your device and press the raise hand button or chat me if you can't find that. So George, you can unmute. I see your thumb up. Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm a resident at 170 East 83rd Street. I've been a tenant there for many decades. And I'm responding to the meeting you had with Douglaston Development and their proposal to HPD for voluntary inclusion housing. Tenants were never informed of their intentions, and it's quite obvious why they are proposing voluntary inclusion housing. It's only for financial gain for themselves. The tenants have gone through quite a bit over the last year. 170 East 83rd was essentially a 90-unit plus building that went from 82nd Street to 83rd Street along 3rd Avenue. Douglaston demolished the south side of the building after relocating many tenants from the south side to the north side. We have not had gas for over 6 months, nor do we have stoves for 6 months. We have not had a laundry room for 6 months. The Douglaston said that they had to upgrade the electrical. The only reason why they're upgrading the electrical is to have sufficient electricity for electric stoves. And that is just starting to be implemented after 6 to 9 months. The building built in 1960. The lobby area is in disarray. It's exactly the same it was back in 1960. There was minimal investment made in upgrading the lobby, pretty much relegated to new carpet. They did have to construct a new laundry room, a bike room, because those facilities were located on the south side of the building. And now that it's demolished, they had to relocate those to the front side. The intercom system does not work properly. Security alarms and security cameras have not been functional for over 6 years. I think someone's
got an award.
Okay.
I did see Toby Chansey. So Toby, look for a prompt on your device to unmute. And then if not, David Kessler.
Yeah, I signed for the Zoom.
Oh, no, it's okay. We'll come to the in-person in a second. Just don't let us forget you. And then Andrew Fine. But Toby, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Can I talk?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, Toby, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. My name is Toby. I have a store on 77th Street between 2nd and 3rd, and this closure will impact my business because I have deliveries coming into my shop every day. Bulb deliveries, I have large fixtures, I have lampshades, and so on and so forth. So this will affect me tremendously. And I wish they don't go through having this street closure. And plus, there's a lot of ambulance that go down this street. This is a main artery, and it will be affected by the people in this community. And I hope this not gonna pass, please, because this will affect everybody. I've been here for 18 years, and there's a flow constantly coming down this block. And I think me and Todd and everybody else that has businesses around here and people who lived here wouldn't want this to pass. So please, please don't let this go through. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Fine. Andrew, go ahead and unmute.
Hi, thank you so much. Here representing the New York City E-Vehicle Safety Alliance. That is at nycevsa.org. Just chiming in on the ridiculous report that was released just yesterday and reported in the New York Times by the Conservancy, the Parks Conservancy, on recommendations to make pedestrians safer in Central Park. The report is centered entirely on making the park an e-bike expressway, a DoorDash freeway. Suggestions that they made include removing all traffic lights from Central Park, directing pedestrians towards historic archways rather than crossing the street, which would be dangerous. They want them to be directed between 74th and 104th. There would be one way to access the west side, the 79th Street underpass. The report is ableist. It is anti-senior. The only reference to seniors in the entire report was a reference to the number of park users that are seniors. And according to this report, you wouldn't believe this, only 2% of all park users, according to this report, are 65 years of age or older. It's obvious. There was no reference whatsoever in this report to the disabled. This is a travesty, and this cannot stand. We cannot make e-bikes the regular everyday occurrence in Central Park, and we don't need 20 and 30-mile-an-hour vehicles. It's dangerous, and it is alienating to seniors, to families, and to the disabled community. Thank you, nycebsa.org, and bam, touchdown. Thank you.
Right on time, Andrew.
Up next is Jeffrey Engel, then Eileen Smith, then Bonnie Gerard, and Diane DiNardo. So Jeffrey Engel, you can look for the unmute button on your device. And Jeffrey, we're gonna move past you. You're not gonna unmute. Eileen Smith, you're up next. Go ahead, Eileen.
Hi. Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I won't repeat any of the prior comments. There's two comment suggestions I want to make. The first is that in the past, our councilwoman has proposed converting vacant lots into temporary community gardens. There is in fact a vacant lot in the middle of our block at 237. I wonder if the school has considered leasing the lot or approaching the councilwoman to help negotiate an agreement between the lot owners and the school to create a community garden recreation area for the students. It's also my understanding that the councilwoman has practical solutions for even funding the conversion of these types of temporary community gardens. And this would seem to be a win-win for everyone on the block. And then my second suggestion is to consider that the Open Streets program might be unintentionally prioritizing certain types of private car traffic over other uses. Many of the Birch-Wathen students are arriving and departing by car, and the large construction projects on both ends of the block have significantly reduced the amount of space for idling and double parked cars. And based on the very disappointing way the school engaged with neighbors, I have concerns that this is really a request to convert the street into a private driveway for the convenience of Birch-Wathen drivers. And I asked DOT and the community board to consider this possibility when evaluating these types of future applications. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Jeff, just wait 1 second. Jeff, just wait 1 second. Go ahead.
I'm not sure, you kind of went out. What vacant lot are you talking about? What building?
Eileen.
237.
I'm sorry. 237. There's an empty block in the middle of the north side of 77th Street.
Okay.
Catty corner from the school.
That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much. Jeffrey Engel. We live at 211 East 77th, right across the street from Birch-Wathen. We happen to love Birch. We have a son who graduated from there, had a great experience. That being said, I would question how this even got to this stage. I would question the diligence of the Transportation Committee, ambulance, fire, hospital, parking. Let's talk about street cleaning, 9 to 10:30, 4 days a week. That never gets done. I have 5 weeks of garbage on my block, on my curb, because we can't get our street swept. Is Birch going to do that for us? Who is? That being said, is there a middle ground here? Is there a middle ground? Birch has 1 day a year. They have their spring fair. Can we give them a trial period to give them a couple of days. You're talking winter, they're not going to be outside. Rainy days, they're not going to be outside. Maybe there's a middle ground that's inside of the street sweeping and this. I think our business owners and doctors are fantastic. We try to use all the local merchants. What else can I say in my time? I wasn't asked. I'm the only single family resident on the street. Nobody asked me my opinion before the committee voted for this. And what are we gonna do about parking too? We have a lot of people that park on the block when the everything was changed. I've been living here 25 years. So it used to be you couldn't park in the afternoons and night, and now that got changed. So yeah, if the board could answer back to me what the diligence that was done to get to this decision, because it's clear you can't block up the street, every single day of the week, and it's not going to be needed. And what are they going to do on the street too? It's just a lower school. It's probably not the upper school and middle school kids who have that option. So maybe there's a middle ground we can reach, and everyone will be happy, and it won't be a big thing. Thank you for your time. If someone could respond to the diligence question, I'd really appreciate that, to hear from the board how they got to this decision.
Yeah, when we get to the transportation committee report this evening, the chairs will deal with the background. Thank you.
All right, that was Jeffrey. We had Eileen, Bonnie, Gerard, Diane, DiNardo, Ruth Kessler. Any of you here? Not Bonnie, not Diane. Ruth, there's a Ruth's here, so let's assume that's you. Go ahead and look for the unmute button on your device. Jan or Jan Erstad. Zach Bortkin or Francisco Larios. And then Evelyn, we have not forgotten about you. You showed up late, so you get to go at the end of the virtual.
I've lost your first spot.
See your hand up. Okay, Diane wasn't here, Ruth wasn't here, Jan was not here. Zach. Yep, okay, Evelyn, you're up next. Congratulations, you won. Evelyn, you have 2 minutes, you know the drill.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm not insulted at all. And no, I didn't get on because there was something else going on. I just couldn't get to you. So, good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well, despite everything going on in the United States. Congestion pricing has, of course, raised its head. Please ignore the beeps. That is something else going on. I can't get off the phone. So I'm still for municipal parking lots. Now there's a vacant lot on 77th Street. Oh, we can make a municipal parking lot. I mean, it's ridiculous, okay? I'm listening to people from Long Island that are strapped for cash, but they have to drive in, and they're now going to pay more money on top of more money on top of more money. It just really doesn't sound fair. The truth of all of this is that they need to do another environmental study, because lowering pollution in one area and sticking it up in the Bronx is inconceivable and unacceptable. Anyway, that's of course my municipal parking lot thing. The other thing is the Fifth Avenue issue. I don't know if it's still on. Spending a lot of money trying to make bigger sidewalks and backing traffic up to 125th Street on Fifth Avenue. Because if everything goes into one lane on Fifth Avenue, I don't know whose reasoning this is. I don't know. Anyway, costs a lot of money to do this. I think we're going to be going into economic times where money is going to be very scarce for federal projects. So I think people better reset their thinking about spending vast amounts of money. Anyway, thank you very much for calling on me, and I accept everything. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you. Okay, we're going.
In the room, we have, and if I call your name, it would be great if you could come line up right here. And the timer's gonna be on the table, sorry, I'm trying to do 3 things. Yeah. Valerie Stahl Borak, Jane Kaufman, Linda Cornelius. Great.
Dr. Ronald Goldstein, Luigi Racanelli, Kelly Sullivan, Carol Levy, and Stephanie Redmond. So if you could come up with this in name order. Sorry, my computer went out,
So Valerie Stahl Borak, if you're here, hop on.
She's not here, but I.
Well, did he sign up?
Yes, I did.
Wonderful. Then we'll get to you whenever. Then Jane Kaufman. Jane, go ahead. And then he's gonna set the timer, so you'll hear it.
Wait, you hear the Academy of Work Music?
No. It's just-
Oh, it's okay, it's a big beat, sorry.
All right, hi, everybody. My name is Jane Kaufman. I am a 20+ year resident of 201 East 77th Street. I am also a physician. And I have several concerns about this proposal to close down 77th Street for Birchwood clinics. My first concern is ambulances, which frequently come through. Having kids who went to a school with a closed block, I know it takes a long time and it is very difficult to move children out of the way safely. So any vehicles attempting to enter the block would be delayed. This is also a major concern because on the north side of the block is the Spencer residence, which is a home for low and moderate income senior citizens. And we will be blocking off these residents' access to transportation, to ambulance, to other vehicles that transport them. So that's a huge concern for me, both the emergency vehicles and these seniors' rights to transportation. I know that these closed blocks actually provide a very poor play space, and that Birchwood several years ago obtained a zoning variance to build a huge new addition with a beautiful playground on the roof. Why do the residents of these senior citizens need to suffer for families who choose, the vast majority of them, to spend over $62,000 a year tuition on private school instead of sending their kids to one of the quality public schools in the neighborhood?
I'm unaware of how many of you who are standing up are going to speak on the Birchwood Street opening or closing, depending on how you look at it. We hear what you were saying. If you want to speak, that is your right. Apparently, and I was not at this meeting either, there were not any people who showed up against, any members of the public who showed up against the application. Yes.
It's irrelevant.
I'm here condescending. I said, it's me. Don't you allow me to finish? No, allow me to finish. So can you finally leave, because in this room, respect is required, not only requested. No, okay, listen. I did not say they couldn't speak. I said we were listening. It is their right to speak. That's exactly what I said.
You didn't finish your sentence.
Well, I didn't get to finish it.
Well, no one showed up earlier.
No, that's not what I said. I said that no one showed up here.
Hey, we don't talk about.
You can't respect the rules of the meeting. Okay, this is a public session. If you signed up to speak, you are entitled to your 2 minutes. What I'm trying to tell you is that there was no one who showed up in opposition to the application. It is going to be reconsidered tonight. We hear what you are saying very loud and clearly, okay? And so I'm just saying that we hear you. If you want to use your 2 minutes, that's fine. We are completely understanding what is being said tonight, and we do listen when you show up. Okay, and I will give you an opportunity for those of you who are not speaking at the end of the public session, because there are quite a few people here, to raise your hands and let us know what you think about this issue. Because I understand that a lot of you have not been here before, but when this matter is taken up in terms of the committee reports, you will not have an opportunity to speak again. So I want to have everyone who is a community board member to know who is in the room and what your feelings are, one way or the other, by raising your hands. You will have that second opportunity to be heard this evening. So thank you, and you can proceed.
So Linda Cornelius, go ahead. Addison, if you'll hit the timer.
Thank you. I'm Linda Cornelius. I'm president of the East 77th Street Block Association and a resident of 77th between 2nd and 3rd. And I too am here to strongly oppose Birchwood and Lennox Schools' application to close our block between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Principally for pickup and for use of the street as a playground. Now, I don't need to reiterate all the points that other people have made. I will say this, that a couple of them have not been addressed. We talked about, deliveries, moves, the elderly, doctors, businesses worrying, garbage collection. What we haven't heard from are people who work at home and are home all day and are concerned about the noise that kids on the street are going to bring on top of the already loud construction noise at both ends of our block. So noise pollution is a very real thing. And I also have a question as to who from the school is going to be assigned to letting the ambulances through. I know that the open blocks say that they get through, but who is going to be assigned? So in sum, really, this application calls for use of public property by a private school. And it benefits no one but the school. In fact, closing our block to the block's many residents, businesses, and medical practices is unfair. And I would say, board members, this is your community. We hope you'll support us.
And then Luigi, you're up next after.
My name is Dr. Ronald Goldstein. I'm an eye doctor and property owner practicing for the last 15 years at 243 East 77th Street. I've been practicing eye care on the Upper East Side for 37 years. My practice has a high percentage of geriatric patients and a result, a very high percentage of patients with macular degeneration, cataracts, glaucoma, as well as a large low vision population who are partially sighted. A large percentage of my patient population has mobility issues. These patients arrive by car service and leave by car service with their eyes dilated. The street closure puts my patients at a significant risk. Avoiding Birchworth and Lennox, the street closure will force elderly patients to exit car services on 2nd Avenue and 77th Street, on the north corner where there's a towering construction site, and on the south side where there's a bridge located, producing a local law 11 remediation. This poses a significant public safety issue for the geriatric population, who must now maneuver back to 2nd Avenue, brave the construction dangers as they attempt to meet a car service with their eyes in a dilated state. This is a danger to my patient population and extremely harmful to the health of my practice. 3rd Avenue and 77th Street is also experiencing a massive construction project. Both ends of 77th Street are reasonably dangerous for elderly patients with conditions that affect their vision. Additionally, we receive laboratory deliveries by car and van 5 times a day. Truncating the service will severely restrict my ability to efficiently diagnose and treat patients. I'm here to contest the legitimacy of Birchwathen's application. Open street applications require a very specific community outreach plan, clearly posted on the DOT application site. For local businesses, applicants are obliged to visit businesses and inform them of proposed street closures, about the proposed street closure application, allowing them to address concerns and invite participation. Birchwathen made no attempt to contact me in person, by email, by US mail, or by flyer. I'm unaware of any business on East 77th Street that was contacted concerning this matter. I'm just going to say this on now. They did not do a community outreach program. They did not do what was necessary in the Department of Transportation application site, and I'm inviting you all to contest this application. It was done improperly.
Would you grab the microphone and just move it like 2 feet to this direction?
Thank you very much.
You're fantastic.
Good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And you can use it to just.
Yeah.
I want you closer to that so that people are.
My name is Luigi Racconelli. I live with my pregnant wife and 3-year-old daughter at 170 East 83rd Street, the property which Douglaston Development discussed on 10/22 with this board. I am here because I believe the facts presented by Douglaston were grossly misrepresented, and to request that this board write to HPD within this 45-day window and recommend that it does not move forward with a request to enter HPD's voluntary inclusionary program. Background. 170 was one building that spanned from 83rd Street to 82nd Street on 3rd Avenue. As of a couple of years ago, there were about 36 apartments on the south side, and I estimate that about 20 were rent stabilized. There were 54 units on the north side, now at 50 as a few were combined, and about 25 of those are currently stabilized. The net result of this project is not that Douglaston is adding 25 rent stabilized units as they said, but that we are adding at most 5 rent stabilized units, and by some calculations reducing it by losing up to 15. All to build a 39-story luxury tower and to give Douglaston a 40-year tax abatement. Douglaston said they have significantly upgraded our building, but I hardly consider the following upgrades, and our building is in disarray. No gas, so no use of a stovetop or oven since late May. Douglaston provided tenants with a hot plate that's $19.99 on Amazon. No laundry room since early June. Security cameras have been out for 3 to 4 months, all while countless construction workers are in and out of the apartment building. Moth infestation in several units. HPD inspector gave the building a violation because the window leading to the fire escape in my daughter's room cannot be opened. A handyman used WD-40, but admitted it still does not open as it should. He said the windows are like that in almost every apartment unit. I wish I had more time to give you the full story, but in conclusion, I beg you to please write to HPD and recommend that it does not approve the application for 170 to be in HPD's voluntary inclusionary program. At the very least, Douglaston should have to include several rent stabilized units in its tower.
Mr. Rackenfeller, can you please send your testimony to me via email? And so I'd like to put it together with the gentleman who spoke during Zoom and take a look at it. Thank you. Kelly Sullivan? She or he in the room? Yeah. Okay, Carol Levy? And then Stephanie Rattler.
Well, good evening. I'm a resident.
Can you wait till you come up to the microphone?
Sure. I'm a resident of 205 East 70. Closer to the mic.
Point it down.
I do. A resident of 205 East 77th Street, and it was slightly shifted from 2nd Avenue to 3rd Avenue. And it's really unacceptable for all of us as residents and retail owners. And I would appreciate tremendously that someone would answer, how then during that closure time does a sanitation truck that regularly cleans our streets come by?
Thank you.
Carol Levy?
That one's Carol.
Oh, sorry.
Stephanie's up. The
Go ahead. Okay, great.
Can you lower it, Stephanie, upstairs?
Stay over here.
I'm Stephanie Reckler. I'm a public member of the Transportation Committee, and I was one of the few people who voted against this open street project. I consider it a life and death situation when an ambulance is delivering a patient to the hospital. Would you like to be in that ambulance as one of our very close relatives was stuck in traffic or not being able to use the roadway? I don't know what CB8 can do, because as part of the materials, there was this letter from the Department of Transportation approving it. So what can we do to rescind this situation? That's my question. You are all part of our neighborhood. I would like to tell you about a meeting next Tuesday where Northwell Health is going to discuss its plans for Lenox Hill Hospital and its timeline. You're all here. You need to attend this meeting. So if you haven't signed up, I would appreciate your voice. Your voices can be heard, not after the fact, but before anything happens. So please sign on for next Tuesday's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Up next, we have Marie Stark, Miriam Greenberg, Patricia Stark, Lindsay Ford Authority, and Alan Harris. And if you hear your name, just go ahead and come on down, start to line up, start to queue up. I see several people, so we'll announce some more names in a second.
Please.
My name is Marie Stark. I reside on East 77th Street. I am adamantly against closing 77th Street. I'm not going to repeat the reasons, but I have a suggestion for the school. If they need to have a play place for the students, I would suggest that they contact the school on 75th Street, Robert Widener School, which has a tremendous, huge outside play area, and I think they can reach some kind of arrangement to have a share system. I think that would work. I do not approve of street closure. It's harmful and life-threatening to people in ambulances. Thank you.
Patricia, go ahead. And Lindsay, if you want to come on down.
Yeah, hi, my name is Miriam Greenberger. I live at 205 East 77th Street, and I'm very against the street closure. What people didn't mention is there are a lot of elderly people living in these buildings, and they don't need the noise from kids playing outdoors. I mean, on my floor alone, I know there are 3 sick people, and I don't sleep well, I'll admit it. So sometimes I need to sleep in the morning. And I don't need this noise outside. I also remember when they built the gymnasium, how for like a year, or I don't know, maybe longer even, from 7 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, the lights were on, the construction was on. We didn't matter, but it was considered, I mean, we accepted it, but that was at least on top of their school. Here we're talking about a situation where they're taking over the whole block. Why is one school more important than a whole bunch of people? When did we become like that? We just don't matter. You know, it's time, and I don't know, maybe we were told about this, but I never heard about it. I watched every poster on top of the elevator or anything else, and I never heard about this. I think it's time for people to take care of themselves, and we're here to take care of ourselves. And there are doctors on the block, there are elderly people coming on the block. And there are a lot of elderly, senior citizens don't deserve to be ignored. We don't deserve to be ignored. There's a lot of senior citizens. Yeah, I'm really against this.
Well, I'm happy you're here tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And then after Patricia and Lindsay, Alan Harris, if you just keep on coming up, Augustus Busby, Morris Borak, Go ahead and start getting ready to line up.
Hi, my name is Patricia Starr, and I live on East 77th between Second and Third Avenues. And I do wear a brace, I have a disability, and I often need to get to different places by a vehicle. And I usually get it, I often get it in front of my house, my apartment building at 246. And if I have to go to Second Avenue, which I occasionally have tried to do, it's extremely hard because there's very often big trucks in front of the bagel place and other stores there. And then it necessitates actually walking in the middle of Second Avenue to be seen, and I'm not gonna do that, I just can't respect. And also, very often that means that the vehicle would have to go the wrong way. And if I go to Third Avenue, that's equally a problem, because you can't get one right now anyway between 76th and 77th with that construction going on. And if I walk over to the Grispides on the other side, they very often have big trucks delivering their things, making it very hard to even board a bus, let alone get a cab. That happened to me actually yesterday. It was very hard to get a vehicle. Anyway, so, yeah, it would make it so much harder if 77th Street was closed off to vehicles. Thank you so much.
I'm sure because you said Lindsay, but it's Lindley work.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm just reading quickly.
Okay, thank you.
And then after Lindley, we're actually gonna hear from our council member Keith Powers.
Okay, so I'm a longtime resident of 170 East 83rd Street and a founding member of the Tenants Committee. I'm here to discuss, as we've previously heard, the misleading presentation that was given by Douglaston Development on October 22nd to a subcommittee of this board, and address some of the pertinent issues. As you've heard, tenants were not given any notice whatsoever. And they said that there would be no eviction of current tenants. I personally have been under near constant threat of eviction for the entirety of this year. And the reasons for such have to do with a lot of things that they are trying to get away with that are not proper, which I'm happy to give more detail on at a later time. A committee member specifically asked Douglaston during this presentation, what do you need from us? And they replied, nothing. We're just here to keep you in the loop, keep you informed, that kind of thing. That is exactly what they would like, because if the board submits no comments whatsoever to HPD, then the approval will proceed. And so we are here to urge you and ask you to intervene. We need help. We need protection. I personally have been contacting all of our local elected officials, including Keith Powers' office, for the last year. We have received minimal of anything. In most cases, no response whatsoever. So the deadline is December 5th, and I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. What we have been living through in the last year has not at all been fleshed out so far in this, we have 2 minutes. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
That's right.
It's just to try to finally be able to bring some of this to light is actually like very emotional. We have several pending complaints in front of DHCR. I personally have a harassment complaint. I've been harassed and maligned for a long time now. And the quality of life of the existing tenants has been seriously impacted. And the bottom line is, as you've heard, there were originally 90 units. There are now 50, 40 have been destroyed, 25 are currently rent stabilized. If their application is approved by HPD, they will only be creating 25 new affordable housing units at the cost of 40, which have been destroyed. That's a net loss of 15. And the reward for that will be a 40-year tax abatement for them, which will benefit nothing but their bank account. They're literally trying to get away with real estate murder at the expense of our quality of life. Thank you.
Mr. Agnew, just make sure you
Yeah.
your testimony, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Keith Powers, you can unmute.
Yes, hi everyone. Sorry to jump in and intervene. I know there's a lot of testimony here today, specifically on the closed street. So I've been sitting here and listening. So I will try to be brief. Just had a few topics. I did want to start. I've been listening from the folks who are in the building from Douglaston. Carolyn from my office is going to reach out, but I would also invite. I'm not sure we have heard from folks yet, but if we have and we have not had a chance to get back to you, please. Do reach out to us. We want to meet and talk to you about that situation. And I'm familiar with the idea and the project, but I want to hear from the tenants as well. Call my office tomorrow if you can. You can go to my website to find this information, but the number is 212-818-0580. Carolyn from my staff, who represents CB8, will also be trying to reach out to you as well and to the board to help foster a conversation, but you can reach out to us tomorrow. We certainly understand where your fears are and where you're coming from. So I would love an opportunity to meet and talk with you about that as soon as we possibly can. I'm sorry you guys have to be at the meeting today to make your case, but we want to reach out and help. I want to talk about just three things quickly. The first is, and first of all, nice to see everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there. I'm doing a 17th precinct and this one and another one tonight. So a little busy, easier to be stationed in front of the laptop, but hope you're all well and nice to see you. Just a few topics quickly. I'm going to go to the 17th precinct after this, but as many of you know, there was a very, very frightening series of events on the east side this week, a little bit south of where most of you are, but on the west side, and then two stabbings that resulted in the loss of life, well, three total in the East 40s and in the East 30s. A frightening scenario, an individual with clear mental health issues who I don't believe should have been out on the streets. She was released early with no mental health services, no placement, no coordination between agencies, and did the most horrific act possible. And we were at the 17th precinct just the other day. Fortunately, the man was apprehended, but far too late. And so we have been dealing with the agencies responsible over the last few days, dealing with the district attorney's office, NYPD, about that situation. And while I am really grateful that we have great officers at the 17th precinct, one of them, Officer Garvey, who apprehended this man and showed a heroic effort in light of and bravery in light of a very scary situation. We certainly cannot be in that situation. I am, with my colleagues, calling for an investigation here on all the agencies responsible, because it was clear to me this individual was let out. They still should have been in custody. We have to investigate all the mental health breakdowns here with this individual, but also why agencies like DOC, Department of Corrections, Homeless Services, Health and Hospitals, all the agencies who had custody of this person and had oversight over them could have possibly released him back into a community without any sustainability of resources. And there's some clear things here around our mental health system we are working on to fix, our criminal justice system that is letting this person be back on the streets early and with an early release, and of course the lack of coordination. But we put out a statement, and I'll be happy to send it around to people as well, just kind of calling on an investigation, and we'll have some more action items on that in the next few days. But I just want to repeat how unacceptable it is, but also how we are going to have some items on that I want to share with people the next few days. We'll distribute that to the board as well as we work through this investigation and try to figure out more details to it. Couple things that are happening right now at City Hall. As many of you know, we have a big housing proposal coming through the City Council that is called the City of Yes proposal. But we call it the City for All, because we're doing a lot more affordable housing and vouchers and things as part of that plan. We're working through that plan right now. We're going through modifications. We are attempting to do our best effort to address. Did I freeze? Somebody took.
Yes.
He frozen and muted himself. I'm muted, Keith, sorry.
Sorry, maybe you're better off. I don't know. But anyway, I'm back. We are working through the City of Yes proposal, and we are looking at a lot of the comments that were submitted by both Community Board 8, Friends of the Upper East Side, the Carnegie Hill Neighbors, and a lot of other entities here to try to address the specific concerns. So I wanted to say thank you for your thoughtful input on that. Very helpful to all of us as we're navigating that, to really make sure we address all the different issues that you have raised about bulk and height and context. And while I am a very big supporter of the idea of adding a lot more opportunity in the city and driving down rents and asking our neighbors on all sides of the city to be part of that, it's clear we have to kind of make sure we get pieces of that right and working through some of those. So I want to say thank you to that. We will have probably a clearer picture of everything as early as tomorrow, and then we'll have a final vote, I think, in early December on it. So if you want to reach out to us and talk to us about that, we're happy to talk more about my thoughts and opinions on it. But I also want to come say thank you because we had a good meeting with Valerie. I want to thank her for that. And also many of you have reached out and talked to us about specifics of that plan. And then finally, just legislatively, one of the crusades I've been on is to reform our scaffolding laws in New York City and our local law 11, which is really important to our safety. But I think we have long sort of needed to do reforms for that. Our small businesses are struggling underneath the scaffolding that litters our sidewalks. There's a lot of public safety and quality of life issues that come underneath them. For our property owners, it's a tremendous cost to do the repairs and put the scaffolding up. And it just takes away so much from our community. And we had not done a reform of this dating back to the 90s, I believe. And so it just was a really good time to come back and try to update and evaluate our laws. So we are on a process to do that. We have a study that's underway of looking at every other city and what their safety and facade safety laws are so we can adopt best practices, but also clearly need to create more relief around high cost and something that I really do think takes away from our community and something that I think we all can agree on. So we're going to work through a package of legislation right now, and we'll invite all of you to give us your best ideas or comments on that as well. Hopefully by the end of the year, get something passed that we can bring back to give our city much needed sunlight and reform that. So a lot more going on as well, but I don't want to take away from all the time that you guys have for public testimony, things like that. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for everything you guys do. And nice to see everyone.
Okay, we will get you the contact information for the people from the Douglaston project for you tomorrow, so you can contact them directly.
That'd be great. Great. Thank you guys.
Okay, we're resuming the public session now.
Alan?
Thank you.
Addison?
I am Alan Harris, and my wife is Rosalind. We live at 122 East 76th Street, and by way of the ZR 2214 zoning, a Northwell Hospital-owned property is now virtually an office building. 122 is the Ukraine of the Upper East Side and in a death spiral. It is living hell. Zoning permitted 18 apartments as offices. Now they are using 25 of the 27 apartments for offices, storage, and sleeping accommodations, all illegally, which I have photographic evidence. There are more than 150 employee office workers, where only 50 are allowed. Northwell Health Systems are outlaws. From the beginning of the zoning it was instituted, Northwell never ever intended to comply. They duped the Department of Buildings. The zoning mandated there be 9 tenants, now only 2 remaining. Apartments have been warehoused beginning 20 years ago. Laws don't apply to them. They live by their own renegade rules. There is no valid certificate of occupancy since it was denied in the year 2000. They now seek to endanger the frail lives of my wife and I by intent to infiltrate our apartment with asbestos and lead particulate. They have denied us both water and no water for years. They completed asbestos removal on 8 of the floors of the building, endangering their own office workers without a work permit from the DOB. They should not be allowed to be approved for any application for any new building until they legally come into compliance with the zoning regulation 2214 for 122 East 76th Street. They have numerous violations currently existing at 122 East 76th Street, amounting to $118,000, outstanding and unpaid violation speaks in high decibels to the contrary that they are good faith landlords and of responsible consciousness. Northwell are in fact a slum landlord. I believe Northwell's hidden agendas fool the community board or influence inappropriately as they did the DOB. Northwell's character and nature being self-evident and unconscionable that Northwell will be enabled with an approval for a new building. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
And then Moritz Borak, Susan Weston, Nima Pilot, and then Ruth Lazar are the last people. So if you heard your name, start to queue up.
My name is Morris Pollard. I'm a social worker. I've lived in the community on 77th Street for about 40 years. In addition to the school having a roof playground, they also have a gymnasium. I'm very much against the closing of the street. I live on the second floor and I hear ambulances going by all the time. It doesn't bother me that the noise wakes me up because I know every second counts. People who have stroke have to get to the hospital in a certain time in order to get a certain enzyme that will prevent them from having severe defects as a result of the stroke. Time is of the essence. Also, if you know, the Allen Stevenson School also has the same type of program, closing the street, which prevents then people coming to Lenox Hill Hospital from the west to the east. So now you're gonna have problems coming from the west to the east, as well as from the east to the west. I'm very strongly against it. I'm sorry if I was a little bit rude before, but I am upset that this gentleman here has been rude. He hasn't heard anything. He just stays on his cell phone all night. Right. So if you're a member of the community board, you should be listening to what the people are saying. Well, I see you. Okay, I just, yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So,
Thank you.
So, I had some other things to see. I still have 33 seconds. I'll stay here so I can look at his face. I still have 20 seconds, I can see.
Okay.
Again, the private school parents have a lot of money. Also, the lowest school uses it mostly. The upper school probably doesn't use it as much. I know some of the other schools in the neighborhood, they use Central Park. I know the schools are further away from Central Park, but there are other alternatives to use. Again, I'm very much against it, and I've been living in the community. All right.
Thank you very much.
I guess it's Leslie, Susan Weston, Nima, and Ruth.
Hi, my name is Gus. I was not planning on talking tonight, but there's been a lot of talk about some of the 7th Street closures, so I thought I would address it myself. You know, I think it is great that everybody's here tonight and expressing their opinion on this, but there's also 500 kids that go to this school. You're gonna have.
Can you just listen, if you're gonna have a conversation, Craig, and can you just take it outside? Craig, no, I'm not talking to you. All right, I wanted you to be heard because.
And
Good.
there's also 500 children that go to school, right, as well as, I don't know how many residents live between 2nd and 3rd Ave on 77. But I would have to speak to them. If you're the leader of the 77 Street Association, you might have an idea of around that number. But I would ask that we also consider, you know, the enjoyment of those individuals that go to school there. I don't care how much money their parents have, you know, what the wealth is, if they're still children, they don't have the impact. So it's, and the NYC dot did come out in the meeting, previously and said that there will be no impact to, emergency transit, from the street closure that happens all the time across the city.
Thank you very much. Next.
Susan, Nima, Ruth, you're the last three.
I'm a resident of East 77th Street, between 2nd and 3rd, and I object to the street closing as well. And since I'm partially deaf, the construction noise doesn't bother me, but it does bother me to give all this privilege to a private school as opposed to people who live on the street. as a semi-retired physician, psychiatrist, I feel for the small business owners on the street and feel that they will be severely impacted. And also the timing of this, these kids are gonna go out in January. The kids that I see getting out of taxi and livery cabs and large SUVs do not look like they would spend time outside. And if they did, they would be on their phones. But anyway, that's another thing. I think the suggestion that they could use Central Park. I have seen buses taking kids and dropping them off at the school. And they must be playing soccer or doing something else outside of the school grounds, and they could look at that. And I think the suggestion to use the Robert Wagner, their recreation area, their playground, that's a good one to go. So I'm very opposed to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that Susan?
Yeah, I think so.
Susan.
I know.
Nima or Ruth or Susan, whoever the last of you are. Ruth, go ahead.
Please. Come on
Back
down.
down.
No, I'm just coming from the bathroom.
I hope people have to take off my glasses.
That's fine, you can do whatever you like.
Okay, I live at 170 East 83rd
Please
Street.
just speak a little bit.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right, I know it's your first time.
I live at 170 East 83rd Street, and I must say I'm appalled that Stephen Charno and Daniel Russo, who being builders and hosting construction, appear before subcommittee of this body and made blatantly untruthful statements last week. Charno claimed that the lobby has been refinished. Previously, we had chairs, couches, mirrors, and a lot more space, and none of that now exists. The excellent repair that he claimed the building is in has filthy rugs on every floor, stained, filthy. They haven't been shampooed in 2 years. The wallpaper is torn and patched in most places where it's torn. No one previously reported problems with electrical service that they are now upgrading. I've spoken to many tenants. I haven't heard from one that there was a problem. The laundry services were discontinued on in May 17th. Even though they claim there's laundry service, yet there isn't. I think the machines work, but there are no dryers. And there is no seats in there. Whatever we had in our laundry room does not exist anymore. They turned off the gas service without notice. And they gave notice, I'm sorry, at 4 p.m. on the 11th of June, effective the next morning, which was the beginning of a Jewish holiday. So people in the building who were religiously observant could not cook. Elaine Walsh asked if tenants are aware of what's going on. She asked if tenants are updated on what's going on. We are not. I had an occasion to meet some people from Douglaston, and when I asked who they were, the woman there said ownership. It's a secret.
Okay, well, I thank you for coming this evening, and as the council member said, we said we're gonna take all of your comments and see what we can do. I just want to say this is the end of the public session, but with respect to the Douglaston meeting, I don't believe that anybody in the room tonight was at that meeting, but you, I'm talking about the public, Jane.
Oh. There was a private presentation on October 22nd to the zoning and land use subcommittee of Community Board 80.
That wasn't a private presentation. It was on Zoom.
We didn't know that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, so I'm happy that you found out about it and that you came this evening to speak. That's all I'm trying to say. So, what I want to just address two things. It's terrific to see members of the public here this evening speaking on a variety of issues. I would recommend that you come to our website and sign up for our monthly meetings so you can see what is on the agendas of each of our committees. Our transportation committee meets the first Wednesday of every month, and there are constant DOT applications for, again, when you call it a closed or open street, We have heard many of them over the years. This application by Lennox Birch-Waffen is not something that is unique. We have heard many of those applications. Members of the public have come and spoken. There is a process. We hear you, but I would again, there are many things that are happening in the community, whether it is ULURP regarding MSK, regarding Lenox Hill Hospital, the closure of streets, composting, a variety of issues that all of our committees deal with on a regular basis. And we certainly want to hear from you. Actually, the participation of the community in the public session has to be more compact. So I urge you to try to attend our smaller committee meetings when there is an issue that comes up, because it will give you more of an opportunity to participate and to have, you know, I would have loved if you had known about the meeting that we had with, the development company Douglaston, because at that point you could have had a direct dialogue with them in an open forum. So I'm sorry that many of you that are here tonight weren't able to get that going with the company directly, but I'm optimistic that now that the council members heard you, that you've been here tonight, that we can start some kind of dialogue for you. With everybody, what's the close? Okay, yes, all right, thank you. So, with respect to East 77th Street, as I mentioned, we'll come to our Transportation Committee, report. I would hope that you will stick around, but as I promised, we're just gonna do like a little in the room on Zoom vote. For those of you who are here and that you are against the application, can I just ask you to stand up? Don't make any noises, just stand up, if that's possible. If you can't stand, you can raise your hand. So we can just see. All right, we have an idea, thank you, you can sit down. And this is members of the public only. The members of the board will have an opportunity to speak when we get to that portion of the program this evening. If you are in favor of closing the street and you are a member of the public, can you also stand and you'll raise your hand on Zoom? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, now we will move the agenda along. I think, sorry, my computer is out and so it. Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the minutes from the last? Okay, second. Any opposed? Okay. I did it backwards. Sorry, adoption of the agenda. Okay. Second. All right. I don't think the Manhattan Borough President is here.
Not yet, they will be here.
So now we'll have the reports from the representative of elected officials. If you're in the room and you're representing an elected, can you please come down to the mic? Oh, please stick around. Don't leave so soon. Oh, the fun part hasn't even started yet. Hey, Hannah.
Hi, how are you? Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Wiener from Congressman Barry Nather's office.
Oh, wait a second. If you're leaving, can you please do it quietly? Thank you.
And if you're staying, can you also do it by the?
Yes. It's not really a lull in the action, it's continuing. All right, go ahead, Hannah. Sorry, I've done the best I can.
You did great. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Orderman with Congressman Barry Nather's office. I'll keep this very brief because of this big meeting ahead. In terms of what's going on with the federal government, there are going to be obviously some changes in the coming administration. We've already gotten a lot of calls from concerned constituents about either concern for themselves or their livelihoods or their loved ones. So first of all, I just want to reiterate that Congressman Nather is here to fight for youth, to fight for our district, to fight for our district needs, to fight for civil liberties and civil rights, and he'll continue doing that regardless of the administration. Vis-a-vis how it relates to you, often it's going to be a little chaotic in the federal government. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how the transition will impact agencies. So we are going to continue to monitor that. What we're going to try to do is put all the information online on our website as changes are coming down the pipe. But for now, what we would recommend is that if you have any federal bureaucracy that you need to take care of, renewing a passport, applying for global entry, enrolling in Medicare, which open enrollment, I believe, is through December 7th. You should continue to do that, the IRS issues, and then Also submit any casework requests to our office, an immigration casework, an IRS casework. We're continuing to accept them. We will continue to work for our community. So if you have any concerns, student loans, anything, feel free to contact our office. And if you have any other general questions, feel free to contact our office as well. You always go to our website at nava.house.gov or call us at 212-367-7350. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Hannah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey Tannen from State Senator Liz Krueger's office. First, I want to say, because I know Liz would want me to say this. This was such an interesting dialogue and discussion and hearing from the public. And she would want me to thank all the community board members who volunteer your time to listen and to decide. And I know that in our office, we actually really do pay attention to what the community board decisions are and resolutions are, and although we don't always agree, congestion pricing and things like that with some of you, we really do listen to what the decisions here are in terms of whether we're going to send a sign-on letter about 77th Street or the building on 3rd Avenue. So really, thank you. I know she appreciates it tremendously. Piggybacking on what Evelyn David said in the phone call and what Hannah just said, Liz is chair of the finance. Thank you for the votes. Thank you for Proposition 1 and for re-electing Liz. She continues to be chair of finance. She's up in Albany even now. And she warns everyone as chair of finance. They are expecting cuts because, as you all know, state budget relies on the federal budget for a lot of their funding. And the city budget relies on the state budget for a lot of their funding. She will be there, of course, alerting you, preparing everyone. Frankly, she does expect the first cut. What she's most concerned about right now is Medicaid. And we don't know what the following years will be. If you missed it, she did on Sunday, she had an op-ed in the Daily News, which actually kind of lays out her concerns and her philosophy and her fight for going forward. So if you didn't see it, you can let me know and I'll send you a copy. But we will, thanks for your participation in democracy. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Vans. I'm a community engagement coordinator from Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I cover the Upper West Side and the Upper East Side. I'm glad to be here tonight. I have a few announcements. One of them is a sentencing of Zachary Bryant. You may remember in August 2021, he murdered 2 auto workers while they were at their job. It's a really terrible case. And if you'd like more information about that sentencing, which is 30 years to life in state prison, then I would recommend you look at Manhattan DA's website for more information about that. I also wanted to briefly touch on a trespass notice training that we are hosting in partnership with the Madison Avenue Business Improvement District. Trespass notices are supportive documents that revoke certain individuals' legal standing to go to a retail establishment. And then if they are to violate that notice, then it elevates that charge to a felony. So it really helps our office to really zero in on the folks that are driving a large portion of retail theft. We've done this training specifically across different neighborhoods in the borough to really make sure that we're tailoring it to each community. So that's something we're going to be doing in this neighborhood as well, which we're very hopeful about being a very helpful tool. I want to quickly just clarify, as the council member said, obviously terrible, terrible case, stabbing this week. It's so concerning, rightfully so to so many folks. I do want to clarify that the DA's office did not let that defendant out early, that this is a city Department of Corrections policy that they served 2/3 of their sentence. So it was 8 months instead of the year that was secured for the burglary that he committed and was held in for that we secured. But obviously we're continuing to continue conversation about the need for more mental health services, more mental health assessment in these really terrible, terrible crimes and a very scary week. So thank you all so much. And if you would like to have a longer, more nuanced conversation with, more time than 2 minutes about this, my door is always open. I'm happy to give anyone my information. Thank you so much.
Harry? Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here tonight for the lively discussions that we've had. My name is Harry Gale. I'm from Councilmember Julie Menem's office. I'm a Director of Constituent Services, And always feel free to email me or give me a call with any issues. I want to give you a few updates today. We had a very exciting day at City Council where the council members' bill Intro 1108 was heard. Right now in New York City, only premises can be overseen by DSNY to make sure that violations occur. So this doesn't include any structures that are controlled by entities that have entity or franchisee agreements with New York City. So you can't right now have DSNY issue a violation because the bus structure isn't clean or the city bike station is very messy. So this would change all of that and would lead to quite a bit more cleanliness in our city. This would also include the new micromobility stands that we'll have for Uber, Lyft, etc. So it's really important that this policy comes in place before they do. This came about during a walkthrough earlier this year, a couple months ago, with Chair Valerie Mason and then Commissioner of DSNY Tish. We're very excited for what comes forward with this. Participatory budgeting, the cycle has started. Our idea map is up and running. We have great ideas coming to us directly from schools, but not so many coming from the public. Only 3 or 4 ideas so far on the idea map. It's up for the rest of the month. I really encourage all of you to take a look. It's on the City Council's website. Please submit your ideas. We have 2 turkey giveaways coming up next week. One on Roosevelt Island at Carter Burden on Monday from noon to 2 or 11 to 1, excuse me. And on Tuesday at Lenox Hill Neighborhood House from 10:30 to noon. If you know of anyone that needs a turkey, Roosevelt Island or here on the Upper East Side, please let me. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Courtney Hersey here on behalf of Assemblymember Rebecca C. Wright. As the assembly member has been reelected to another term, she appreciates your continued support on her work in our state's capital for the past 10 years. C. Wright lauded the victory of an equal rights amendment to the New York State Constitution, known as Prop 1. Our office organized a turkey giveaway in partnership with Carter Burden. 50 turkeys went home with senior citizens last week. And next short-a-thon is on Saturday, December 7th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the 82nd Street Green Market. As always, please consider our office a resource. And thank you. And on behalf of the Office of Assemblymember Ms. C. Wright, we wish you and your family a happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving speedily along now to the chair's report. Just a couple of items I wanted to mention, with respect to the board directly. Unfortunately, Juno Chalasong had to resign because she's in school in London, and so she is unable to continue, and we hope when the opportunity arises that she reapplies. In addition to that, I want to welcome Kimberly Selway. Stand up, Kimberly, so people can see you. Kimberly was a member of the board, and then she went to public member status on our landmarks committee. We've been happy to have her for so long, but we welcome you back with open arms to the full board. I hope you're enjoying your first meeting back. Great. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention on the City of Yes for housing opportunity. I believe tomorrow there will be a vote by the City Council on what has been sort of put together and worked on. As the council member mentioned, we did have a meeting with the Speaker's Office and the Land Use Council for the subcommittee. They are taking ideas from all different places, and no one has seen what has happened, but essentially if whatever is voted on tomorrow is approved, that then goes back to city planning for a couple of weeks and then comes back to the City Council for a vote. I have no idea how that's going to go or what's going to be in it. We'll see it along with the rest of the public when it happens, I guess sometime tomorrow or maybe the next day. The other things I wanted to mention, with respect to the Welcome Center that was planned for 91st Street, that, I mentioned this in our last meeting. We had a call with DHS, and they indicated that now, instead of being styled as a welcome center, we're supposedly going back to the safe haven model. And, the developer is looking for a new partner for that venture. And that is literally all we know, except that obviously it won't be opening up in December. There's no estimated timeline as to when a new provider will be selected, and or when the center, whether it's a welcome center or a safe haven, will be opened. We did tell them that we wanted to be kept in the loop a little better than what has happened in the last 6 or 7 months. And so we will continue to monitor that situation. As was mentioned by one of the public speakers, and was in the New York Times this week, the Central Park Conservancy has issued their report on the pilot program of e-bikes in Central Park. We will be circulating that report as part of the weekly distribution. And so everyone will have a chance to take a look at it. We are hopeful that that a representative from the Conservancy will come to CB8 to talk about it a little bit more, and we'll see where that takes us. There was not a conflicting, but an additional DOT report, and that's all still open, and really no one knows what's going to be happening. With respect to congestion pricing, as I'm sure everyone is aware, the MTA board approved the modified congestion pricing plan on Monday. They are going to be offering some webinars to the public fairly soon as to how it will all break down. I know that when the plan was first proposed back in June, and we had been contacted, or I had been contacted by people in Manhattan who were trying to get disabled status for the entry into the zone. Surprisingly or not surprisingly, the MTA had not set up any offices in Manhattan or Staten Island for that purpose. And I was contacted just the other day. Those offices have not been set up yet. And we have been working with Liz Kruger and our other state representatives to see if we can at least make it easier for disabled people to get their right to go into the zone without having to travel by train to Queens an hour and a half each way. In order to be, I mean, if you can believe this, travel an hour and a half out to Ozone Park on public transportation, only to have a Zoom interview conducted. So, okay, enough said. I'm sorry, little editorial there. I think the only other thing I want to say is, we've heard from a lot of people tonight. I think that's great. I urge you again to all get on our distribution list to find out what's going on. And I would hope that you'd stick around and see how this all works and get more involved in Community Board 8. There are a lot of things happening here that are relevant to everyone who lives in this district. And we really would welcome more participation from the community on an ongoing basis. Last thing I want to mention, next Tuesday, Northwell will be making its a presentation to our Zoning and Development Committee. This is not part of the ULURP process. This is really in response to a longstanding request that they come to us and just tell us where they are in the process. I don't want anybody to get their hopes up here that there's going to be some huge dialogue. This is not at this point anything like the task force that we put together in respect of MSK. This is really an answer to the community in terms of coming forward and just saying what the status of the project is. I don't expect this to be a long presentation. I don't expect a lot of detail to come out regarding the project. But I'm very encouraged that Northwell does want to come and present to the community as a whole. So again, just want to say, I hope that, you know, everybody come, it'll be a Zoom meeting. And I don't expect there to be a lot of dialogue or back and forth with questions, but let's just look at this as a positive first step in the communication between Northwell and the rest of the community. So I hope you will attend the meeting, but have that as an overarching construct in your mind about how it's going to work. So thank you. I'm happy, okay? I'm not really taking any questions right now. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, well, how many of you here would like the opportunity to speak directly with the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation? I think a few of you, right? A few people who even left are gonna kick themselves for leaving. Next Monday, in our neighborhood, the Commissioner for DOT, Ydanis Rodriguez, will be doing a town hall at 6:30 p.m. at Museo del Barrio. That's 1230 Fifth Avenue. It starts at 6:30, doors open at 6:15. If you would like to go to that and speak directly to the commissioner, you can email ebueno, B-U-E-N-O, at dot.nyc.gov. So that's a fun event that I think most of you guys are interested in. It starts at 6:30, doors open at 6:15.
On what day?
On Monday, the 25th, at Museo del Barrio.
The address.
That is 1230 Fifth Avenue. ebueno at dot.nyc.gov. And it is in our newsletter. If you subscribe to our newsletter and scroll down to the announcement section, you will find all of that information in this beautiful flyer. Nobody else can see that because of the lights. There.
Is that also on Zoom in the chat?
What, is there a Zoom? It does not say that there's any Zoom component. I think it is only in person. I only have the flyer with me. Speaking of the DOT, November 29th is the final day for roadway cafes for the season. So if you have any roadway cafes that you see that are up past them, please call our office or call 311, let them know where those are. Additionally, we have some staffing news that's a little sad.
Very sad.
I know, it's very sad. Many of you over the last year have gotten to know Rose Klopper from our office. She's been doing incredible work. Many of you may know she's a Dutch citizen, and she will be returning to the Netherlands in January. So give her your best, tell her how much you appreciated working with her and how great she was, because we are gonna miss her. Then finally, we're starting to go through the 2025 calendar to get all of our standing committees up and all their dates scheduled. So be on the lookout in the next week or two for, if you co-chair a committee for your 2025 calendar, to give us the feedback on the dates so that we can get them up on the website. And so everybody has plenty of advance notice of when they are. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving and good luck to all of the candidates tonight for board office. And Chuck.
Okay, elections committee.
Good evening, I'm Chuck Warren, Chair of the Elections Committee. First, I want to thank our committee who did great service. It's Michelle Birnbaum, Anthony Cohn, Jane Marshall, and Peggy Price. And this year, the way we have candidates for chair, Valerie Mason, vice chair, Elise Barber, second vice chair, second vice chair, Addison Lev, and the secretaries, Lindsay Cormack, Sebastian Town Clark, and Craig Later. And everyone is running unopposed at this point, and our bylaws do provide that the chair gets 3 minutes to speak if they want to speak, if she would like to speak, and the other candidates get 2 minutes if they would like to speak. So is there, let me ask any of the secretarial candidates if people want to speak. I'm sensing a no. They're reading the room correctly, I believe. Okay, Addison, second vice chair, do you know?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Valerie?
Happy Thanksgiving. Hope to see you next month.
Okay, now our bylaws require that we vote
Police.
Oh, sorry, Felice, yes, you're sorry, I missed Felice.
This is over there.
Here, sorry. Okay, again, these people obviously are running unopposed because they have good political instincts. Okay, so we have to vote on the candidates individually, so I want to start with the secretarial one. I think if it's gonna be unanimous for a candidate, we can just say that, and if someone wants to register something, so let me go alphabetically. Lindsay Cormack, is there anyone who wants to vote no or abstain?
And the folks on Zoom, if you don't have your camera on, we will not count you as voting.
Right. So can we take that's unanimous approval of Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations. Okay, Sebastian Helen Clark, anyone want to vote no or abstain? Here, seeing none, then unanimously elected. Thank you. Next is Craig Lader. Anyone want to vote? We're not giving the public a vote. Anyone vote no or abstaining? No? Okay, so unanimously elected. Okay, second vice chair, Addison Lev. Anyone want to vote no or abstain? Seeing none, Addison is elected unanimously. Congratulations. First vice chair, Felice Harbin. Anyone want to vote no or abstain?
Please stand up, please. Nobody can.
Yes, stand up. She's not sitting up. Okay. Seeing none, and Felice is unanimously elected. Congratulations, Felice. Our chair, Valerie Mason. Anyone want to vote no or abstain? Okay, unanimously elected. Congratulations. And that's the whole slate, and good luck to all our new officers.
Committee for the work this year. Thank you so much. And actually, I
I think
thought
we're
that,
still on.
oh, we're still on?
No, we're coming back.
Oh, you're, no, I just wanted to say that the interview process was also very good. I thought the questions were really good and appreciate the whole process. Thank you, everyone who participated.
The answers were good too.
Thank you.
Anyhow. Let's see, okay. All right, here with the Transportation Committee, we have 3 items here. And the first item is 1014 Fifth Avenue in revocable consent. Craig, you want to do that?
Well, hold on, make it program.
You want to take 5 minutes?
Just don't knock the owl backwards, Craig.
What's that?
Just be careful of the owl.
Okay. So 1014 Fifth Avenue is right across from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's owned by the German consulate, formerly a private residence. They're turning it into a public space to be used by nonprofits. They're proposing putting in a bench on one side and balustrade to protect against a stairwell that is exposed, that is part of the improvements that they're making for accessibility purposes in order to make the building able to be used by the public. So they are basically going to be asking for revocable consent in order to be able to extend out on the northern side to the same degree that the adjacent properties have tree beds out to, and on the southern side, the same thing as well.
Yeah, and this was approved by 10-1 vote, and 1 with Michelle Birnbaum. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, let me just say that the extension that they were asking for, they didn't need that in order to do the protective wall in front of the stairwell. It was the protrusion of a very long bench, and I objected to that because that goes into the public way. They don't really need seating out there. If you want public seating, they're right across the street from the Metropolitan, which is covered with public seating, more than they even intended. And they also claim that their door was always open, and that when they're open, their front door is always open, and there is a bench inside. So that big bench intrudes on the public way, and I did not see a need for it.
Thank you, Michelle. They basically said they were prepared to show the bench when, in the future.
If the adjacent property changed their
Correct.
parameters.
And they supervise the bench because it's right in the door. But anyhow, anyone else would like to speak on this? Yes.
Committee looked at this, Kimberly, who's a member of Landmarks Committee, is looking up what the resolution was, but there was a huge controversial discussion about the length of that bench. So it looks like it five in favor and, three opposed. So I personally oppose it in the public way.
Okay. No, she said about the bench, the landmarks committee had a hearing and the bench was an issue there, but it's approved by 5-3 margin. She's personally opposed.
Is the issue at Landmarks is not the same as the issue on the
Correct.
sidewalks and
Correct.
the reason for Michelle's intrusion on the public way.
Correct. Anthony, do you have a question?
No, I'm just.
You were just doing that. Okay. Any call on questions there a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we should. Yes, we're calling questions. So I think we probably have to call a roll on that because I think there are people who will do this. Well, I don't think we can do that because we probably have too many people here.
So this is for the approval.
This is for the approval, yes. So why don't we call a roll while you're still secretary?
Thank you. All right, Anderson.
Nope.
Angeles.
Yes.
Ashby.
Yes.
Bear.
Oh, my bad. Gail?
Yes.
Birnbaum.
No.
Forrest.
Yes.
Ferrer.
Yes.
Camp.
No.
Chu.
No, she's.
Cone.
No.
Cormac.
Yes.
Barber.
Pass.
Allen Clark.
Yes.
Hartzog.
Pass.
Hershenson.
Yes.
Halpern.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Beckler.
Yes.
Later. Yeah. Lad, yes. Mason.
No.
McConnell.
Yes.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Crawford.
Rita's up.
Rita?
Yes.
Rose.
No.
Ryder.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sassen.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Seligson.
No.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Solway.
Yes.
Swire.
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Tamaya.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
And Warren.
Yes.
Wiener.
No.
All right, so going to the passes, Barber.
Yes.
Hartzog.
Yes.
All right, I think that's everyone. So with 34 yes and 8 no's, the motion passes.
Good. Item number 2 is something that's been a problem in our area for a long time. It was addressing double parking by Fox 5 New York vehicles on East 67th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues and related impacts on the M66 bus operation. We had this problem for many years, and years ago, we brought them before us and they made commitments because they had a whole bunch of spaces reserved in front, about 9 car spaces reserved in front of their property. And it's supposed to be for parking their vans that go out to news things and stuff like that. And so we approved that, and there were complaints, and they promised they would monitor it, and because there's garage there and a lot of people on the block, and it gets blocked up. However, it's gotten worse than ever, and we've contacted them several times, and they just don't respond, and so we thought we would send them a message by disapproving all those spaces. And maybe they'll come and say, we'd like to talk to you, maybe we can, figure out something. And it's worked in the past, as you know.
With Fairway.
Yes, so, yes.
So I support what this resolution is doing. I just am concerned that the conditional nature of it maybe makes it unclear. So I guess my question is, because it says, we're asking them to change the parking unless Fox 5 management appears, but I think it's a little bit unclear when they're supposed to appear. It's a little unclear sort of when the DOT is supposed to act, so I just, what I want us to do is just be clear about kind of exactly what we're asking. So something like.
We can accept that.
The unless from it as a friendly
Yes,
amendment. I'm
friendly.
happy with that.
We're very friendly. We accept it. Okay,
By January.
okay, so that's it, so they'll come, we're disapproving it and we'll see how they react. When they get a resolution, yes. Jane, Jane, did you have a?
No, I just wanted to.
Oh, sorry, yes, you have a question.
If we pass this resolution, it goes to DOT.
Correct.
Do we think they're gonna act on it?
She was there.
Or-
No,
Colleen
she's
was
there.
there.
They do act.
They know.
They acted unfairly.
The last time. they did-
Is will they just take away the spaces? Or will they call in Fox 5 and they have to come?
Oh, last time, the fairway, they just changed it, they changed it so quickly. For DOT, you couldn't believe it.
What's gonna happen is if you take away the parking, they're just gonna park there illegally. Which is what they were saying when they gave it to us originally.
Well, the problem there is they now have the spaces that are meant for the press spaces. Without those, then, yeah, they may be there as well, but it's gonna be double.
There's what happened is that there's just a lot of press plates having nothing to do with vans, and you get other kinds of people just parking there, so it doesn't make some sense.
Yeah, you then have the vans park illegally, which they currently are parked legally, there are no spaces, along with the other vehicles that are now parked illegally.
Yes.
Call the question.
Second,
Second.
okay, all in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay, so we do, is anyone gonna vote against this?
yes, against the birthday one.
Okay. Okay. You're the only
Anybody
one.
else? Who's that?
That, who is that? I don't know. No, Tanya or, no, she's my co-chair.
So.
Just getting into business. We'll speak later. That was Tanya Ferrero.
Yeah. No.
But she gets voted, with Carl, she voted no, so.
She voted no. Okay, so it's, everybody else, yes, one no. Okay, now I think we should get to item 3, which I seem to remember has been a little controversial. This is the open street application for the Bergdorf and Lenox Hill School located at East 77th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. So let me explain, before we get to this, let me explain what happened here, frankly, and it doesn't usually happen this way. What happened first is we got a notice from the DOT, which is how these things get initiated. But the notice came 2 days before our community meeting. And so there was no notice given. And that's why you folks were not at our committee meeting. So at our committee meeting, we had someone from the school and we had, and she talked about, well, I guess we talked to the businesses, which obviously seems to be contradicted by the people who were here. And they said there were very few doctors, I mean, we had a bunch of doctors
They said
here.
none.
We had a bunch
I
of
asked the
doctors here.
question, they said.
So, yes, and so, even though we approved this in the committee by a vote, I think 9-1, or 9-2. I know that from what I've heard today, I'm certainly changing my vote, and I think this is something we would not have approved if we had all you folks here, and I think we appreciate the fact that you were able to come in and that you saw the notices, and this is the way it should work, and this is the way it would have worked at our committee if everybody had been here. I'm really sorry that things worked out. And Michelle was one of the people. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, well, I was the only board member that voted no, along with Stephanie Reckler, who was a public member. And I voted no because on the face of it, I could see all of the issues in front of me that the public raised tonight. This is a through street for an ambulances for Lenox Hill. It is the only direct access, not Lenox Hill, yeah, Lenox Hill. It's the only direct access street. You don't have time to clear a street of a bunch of playing children when an ambulance is trying to get through in an emergency. Also, that the school has a rooftop that they built specifically for this purpose. And also, it's a very, very small school. And they can certainly rotate their children through the, schedule the rooftop for use. The other thing is,
that, you know, this business in general with the DOT wanting open streets all over the place, because school, children need fresh air and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, these children have parents. And when school is over, as I did with mine, you can take your children to the park and they can get as much fresh air as they need or want. You don't have to inconvenience a major hospital, residences, businesses, which I feel particularly sorry for, to ruin a man's business because he can't get what he usually needs in the course of the day. This is outrageous. And I would like to take it, I urge everybody to oppose it tonight, but I'd like to take it a step further and call the DOT into account. They are way too freewheeling with this kind of thing. They consider it a general good. They are generally in favor of anything that eliminates a car on a street, but I think they need to be called an account, and I hope we schedule something like that in some future Transportation Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Can I just make sure that everyone is aware that, and this is reading from the rules here, the New York City, from the official law behind the open streets, that it says emergency access and an emergency lane must be clear at all times for emergency vehicle access. Now, regardless of whether you believe that that's easily accommodatable or not, that's up to you to decide, but I just want to make clear that that is in the rules behind this program.
But not enforced.
Well, you know, one of the things that,
Yeah, and just to add, that for those who weren't able to watch the meeting, because I was going through the meeting and just going through the transcript and seeing what the representative from DOT was saying. She did indicate that for school open streets, that it is meant to allow for access for, say, deliveries and people who need to be picked up and dropped off in those areas. Again, if that's something that you think may be a challenge, that's one thing, but that it was made clear that that is permissible under the program.
Thank you for advocating for the DOT.
Okay,
let's not get into an argument here. I think we've heard those suggestions.
The DOT is not advocating for open streets. The DOT has a program that people apply for. It happens to be something that actually is a strong safety measure for a lot of schools. And I will be the, you know, I have been a pretty staunch advocate and usually a very safe vote in favor of open streets because of the values of safety and recreation for the students. And I don't care whether it's public school or private school. Our Upper East Side community is very dependent on the private schools, both for residents who live here and for students throughout the city. And frankly, it's one of the things that makes the Upper East Side the community and the neighborhood that it is. So this really isn't a differentiator about private school versus public school. I grew up on a street that was no, you know, I grew up across the street from a school, and to the residents who were here this evening, I will tell you that it would probably be one of the greatest boons to that street, both for our sense of community, our sense of safety and quiet. All of that said, this street is on this, you know, effectively a block and a half from Lenox Hill Hospital emergency room, which is the main entrance is on 77th Street between Lexington and Park. And for that reason, I think this is a real risk for anybody trying to get to an emergency room. And for that reason alone, I think this is an exception.
Thank you. Judy?
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
And it's speaking, okay. What's your motion?
I'd like to say we disapprove this.
Okay.
Second.
Second, 2 seconds, okay. And you want to say anything?
Just the fact that they have an open air place on top of their building, it's open air, why do they need to be on the street?
Anthony, you want to?
Just very briefly, this particular block at this particular time has, as at least more than one of the speakers in the public session commented, has major construction projects at both ends. So, and this street is zoned differently from most of the side streets in the area in that, in fact, it is not zoned R8B, but it's zoned, I don't remember exactly what the designation is, but it's a commercial street. It is completely inappropriate, to be, closed off half a day.
And
Ed?
yes, and
Yeah, sure. I have an issue, just on a due process level. So I know from what Elizabeth was saying, that we routinely, the 12 years I've been on the board, I can't remember the last time we denied one. And I know from just living in the neighborhood that Alan Stevenson is around the corner from that.
Alan Stevenson is one that we did tonight. And they went to the neighborhood and came up with a solution that worked for everybody.
Okay, well, there you go, so they still got it, so there you go.
So very small.
There's the point, so there, if I can finish on it. So, I appreciate the, footnote. The point is that you've already admitted that you got 2 days notice. The public wasn't notified. I don't know, one individual seemed to be here from Birch, didn't hear anything from them. I'm not saying one way or the other, but what seems to me, and what seems to drive a lot of the bad dialogue in our body politic in general, is a lack of notice, a lack of trust, a lack of belief that your voice is heard. I don't know what the time frame is on this particular application, but if there is a way which we can either, bring this back, something where we have a full-throated discussion of this, because it seems as if it seemed to sail through at 9 to 2. Now, all of a sudden, we're going the other way. I'm not quite sure which way to go here. A lot of new stuff is coming out. Seems as if the committee meeting didn't have a full, complete discussion, so I would, I'm not offering up any substitutions, but for consideration is that we don't vote on it tonight, and we allow a full-throated discussion for the public that was here. I don't know if they left. I would be very disappointed, by the way, the people who came and made a big thing. Very happy you came, but if you walked out the door and you were here against this application and you're gone, then for me, I would tend to vote for it if that was the case. I would hope they would stay.
Listen, let's take things on the merits.
I'm saying, I'm taking it on the merits.
Let's see, the problem is we had a very short time limit to comment on it. Will, do you have it?
We have to submit our comments by Friday, the 13th of December.
Okay, and that's,
Don't we have land use before that?
we don't, I don't, no.
What is that?
No, the full board's after that. Full board's after.
Well, can't we take it at land use? We've done that before in the past.
I think they have
That's a required meeting for this entire board, by the way, is land use.
Let's let the.
If I may make a comment, is that land use is a required meeting for those who may be new to the board. It is a required meeting for those of you here. It's not an optional class. You have to be here. So we can schedule board business for land use.
No, I
That's what I'm
understand.
saying. If you would like to find a solution, which what I'm offering up to the board is, can we find a solution? If you don't want to, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I think there's a way, and I'm saying, can we find that way?
All right, well, I appreciate it. We'll let the board speak and there's this. Go ahead, Pam.
Can you speak to, so the last line in the first paragraph indicates that this is supported by Councilmember Menon, and I'd just be curious to understand if there's, because this feels like I'm missing something. It would be surprising for me to think that the councilwoman would be supportive of this. So many people are, so did she send a committee? Have you spoken to her? Do we know why she's in support of this?
It was just one of those, passing comments that was mentioned by, I forget if it was by, the representative from Bertha and Lennox, or if it was from, the DOT.
Okay, so there have not been direct conversations between.
No.
Okay, so we don't really know if the councilwoman is.
No, and it's a council member here. She.
Well, Harry's up there.
Oh, Harry, okay, oh, Harry, yes.
It would definitely be premature to talk about the council member's support or rejection of this proposal at this time. And completely inappropriate. I would need to have a conversation with her, and
Sure.
she's not made any statement to my knowledge.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Let's see, we're gonna get the, yes, please.
Call question.
Second.
Second.
No,
Yeah,
no.
can't see Sasha right there.
Oh, no,
No?
Question?
Yeah, I'd love to speak
I think it's question, but we haven't voted on it yet.
I don't know, I mean, Evan and Sasha rarely speak, so I was just kidding.
Okay, go ahead, Sasha, before we call the question.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I found this really illuminating to hear so much from the public, and I don't know how many people here went to public school on the Upper East Side, but it was interesting to hear a solution being use Wagner's playground. And Wagner's a school with 1,000 kids, and to burden like a New York City public school with potentially additional students coming in just to use their playground for recess. I went to a middle school, East Side Middle, when it was still in PS 158. We had a gym that you had to walk through while people in gym class to even get to class. We were only allotted, 2 floors out of 5 as a middle school of almost 400 kids. So I don't see the issue with, if the community feels very impacted by this, for 500 maybe elementary school or middle school students to not have an outside recess, but they have another function or possibility regardless of them being private school kids or not, but there should be no additional burden put on New York City public schools and some kind of creative solution around this.
And thank you. Yeah, I went to public school in Miami Beach. Okay, I think we can't have.
Can we just take Evan's comment?
Okay, sure, of course.
Yeah, sure. I guess all I was gonna say in response, somewhat to Ed's comment is, we should vote tonight, because I think Chuck, your clarification that no one from the public actually showed up, the committee meeting was very helpful. I think the main difference between the committee meeting and today was voices were. The vast majority of people who showed up tonight were strongly against this proposal. They live on or around that block. I don't. I think it's important, we saw a bunch of people walk out. I'm guessing most of them don't know how our meetings work.
Yeah.
And part of the issue with CB8 rather regularly is we don't have community participation. So I'm very sensitive to the idea that when the vast majority of community members most immediately affected by a certain change are against it, that we ignore it. Right? Like, I don't want this board to be so formalistic that, we should be principled, we should be consistent, but like the bedrock principle is community input. Here, the uniformity of that community input is no. So that's pretty impactful for me, and that's why I like to bring that up.
Well, I'm the parliamentarian and I'm not very formalistic, obviously, because the question is called second, and we should vote on the question. All in favor, say aye. Any votes? Okay.
Can you repeat what we're voting on?
Yes, we're voting, this is the motion to disapprove the application of the Birch Waffen School.
Okay, so a yes is a disapproval vote.
Correct. Okay.
Anderson,
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Ashby,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Ferrero,
Yes.
Camp,
Yes.
Chu,
Yes.
Cone,
Yes.
Lindsay's abstaining, Barber,
Yes.
No.
Hartzog,
Abstain.
Hershenson,
Abstain.
Halpern,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crickler,
No.
Later, Lev,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Popper,
Rita, you gonna read?
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sassen,
Yes.
Schneider,
Valentin. Kellum,
Yes.
Selway,
Yes.
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Tamayo,
Yes.
Wall,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
All right, with 36 yeses, that passes.
Okay, now, let me just explain, we're advisory to the Department of Transportation, we will send that resolution to them. And I think it would help if enough people could get to the Department of Transportation and say, just, they have to sit down and at a minimum, they have to talk to the neighborhood and see if if they can do anything, that they do it with the concurrence of the neighborhood. That's what happened in the Mount Stephen thing. They shortened up greatly the space that they were using. And the neighborhood had a lot of doctors and other people, they all agreed, yes, it makes sense. And without that, I think, it should be forward.
Chuck, if I may,
Yes,
in our disapproval resolution, can we just cite that we're only told about this, like?
Yeah, we will. We will.
Everything else, so we can
Absolutely.
have some facts
Yes.
front. Thank
I
you.
agree, we will. Thank you. And thanks for coming.
Okay. Parks and waterfront. And we move from transportation to pickleball. I'm loving it. So excited. I don't wanna, be the spoiler, but, we're gonna be like the pilot program for pickleball. It's very exciting. Breaking new ground, hopefully not having any more criminal activity, but breaking new ground. Thank you.
Okay, we have two resolutions, which is unusual for courts. The first was that the community board approved the Parks Department pilot program for a pickleball court in Cultures Park this spring, consisting of 3 courts with temporary nets, a gate to protect the children, and general signage, which will be removed at the end of the season. Now, we were asked for this resolution by the Manhattan Borough Commissioner, Tricia Sherman Moore, who used to be our Parks co-chair. She was our guest at the meeting, and she said it would be very helpful for Parks if this was passed so that they could get funding for it. So that's the background. And it was Chuck.
I'm against this because I really am, because I think that, Carl Schurz Park is, first of all, it's a small park. There are a lot of people who just sit around in the park and there's not that much space, and the pickleball courts are proliferating around. And I think, they're very noisy and because of all they use and stuff. And so I don't think you ought to have one in Carl Schurz Park. I really don't.
Okay, let me just tell you in addition, before I recognize Elizabeth, that the reason that they were going ahead with this quote pilot program, which they're not doing in any other part, was because the pickleball is there and they had some problems with the police and other issues. And they think that this pilot program will help resolve those issues. So I just want people to know that. Elizabeth, you're next.
I think I would like to propose a friendly amendment. Am I allowed to ask questions before I do that?
Propose the amendment, then next.
Okay, I'd like to propose a friendly amendment that we, ask Department of Parks to define how the pilot will be assessed and what is the time frame for assessing?
It's in the spring. The program will go into effect in the spring.
So for how long? And for how long? At what point will it be reassessed?
Okay.
And what are the criterion on which the continuation or a change would be made?
We can add that to the resolution.
I was gonna suggest, thank you.
That's good.
Julie, please, there are pickleball courts there now, right? So, but what's
It's not increasing the number of pickleball courts, there's probably 3 there right now. What it's doing is it's trying out putting in permanent nets And by having the permanent net, it will take away some of the conflict between the people that kind of bring in their own nets and don't allow an open play and other people to use it. This is an area that they're planning on, and that they have city council funding to redo. So before they redo the multi-purpose play area, they're testing out what happens if they put in the permanent nets.
So they have three now, they're gonna keep those there, and they're gonna put permanent nets up.
Now, and they're gonna put in a gate at the end of the third net, so the rest of the court where the kids run around and play, so they don't run into that hole of the third net, and they don't run into the court.
And
They're gonna make it safer.
So what's the reason to vote against this?
You're a child.
But
to each his own.
I have to say, even the pickleball players will be there regardless of whether we put the nets up or not. There's not enough parks enforcement personnel to eliminate them. They painted in the pickleball area anyhow because it showed up there, where bringing in our own nets that chalk in the whole area. This is trying to find a way to make sure that there are multiple different uses and demands for that multi-purpose play area, and that we allow everybody an opportunity to use that space.
Thank you. I think, the main issue right here is we lack of the open, spaces. So we have the largest, densities in the country. And we need space for recreation. Well, I don't wanna say that, but you know, I play soccer on the 97th Street. It is closed, I jump the fence, I don't have no problem. I love to play, I love to do exercise. If you wanna do something, look, allows everybody to participate in these activities. It's good to create some sport activity. It's nothing wrong. And there is some fights too. I participate in those too. But the point is, right here, we need to encourage people to do exercise outside. Is you breathe a free, fresh air. And I strongly support this one. Thank you.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
And we're just trying to make it safe. I think Michelle was the last. Oh.
Judy, sorry,
I
just want, oh,
Go
I was gonna just ask the question. I'm looking at the picture, but where is that in relation to the playground? Is that gate in the court?
No, the multi-play area, see where the gate is?
The far gate. the far
Yeah.
gate. Okay,
To
it was
keep
the front
them
gate
from-
and the far gate.
So the way it's a big open area. Where it is where it was kind of set up for hockey. The children's playground
Is behind it,
Right.
okay, I didn't know which gate that was. All right, another question, let me just ask you, because I have experience with this in another location. Are there, how close are the residential buildings to this court? In another place.
They're not in this
Not close,
location.
okay, because there was almost a riot over the noise.
I know, that's,
Of
I
the
think
ball.
one of Chuck's objections.
So if
It's
this
a
is
very
close,
noisy
it's
sport.
a noisy sport,
You've
you're
got,
gonna have enough.
you've got the whole playground area and some space and each end out.
Fine, keep your fingers crossed.
I think you might explain that it's really like lower down, it's where, I mean, the Esplanade is here, but this is where the basketball boards and then sort of below, it really is quite
It's a long
separate.
side
It's where there was basketball, I don't know, there's still be basketball.
There's basketball.
Yeah, nothing else is, it was just sharing.
And I have to tell you, these pickleball courts aren't going away. So it's great that parks wants to.
You know, I have a friend visiting me from Long Beach, Long Island, Long Beach, New Jersey, a little island. The fights that are going on because of pickleball there, I mean, it's beautiful that it's going on all over.
I spend a lot of time in Gulfport Park in the summer, and I'm very much aware of what's been going on with those pickleball courts. And my understanding is there's some guy who kind of declared himself the king of the courts and determines who plays when, and I don't know.
That's one of the reasons they're doing this.
Well, I don't know if there's anything in this that's gonna prevent that from continuing, so.
No, well, it all has to do with where the materials, it's Come
Well,
on,
you can't take his
and
nets.
actually, Brad's will make it much easier.
Brad is out there a lot, and you wanna just clarify.
Yeah, I just wanna mention two things. One, I appreciate Marco's comment about, people getting exercise. It's important we have these kinds of resources. And two, just on background, there's no new activity that's gonna be happening in the parks with this program. Like currently, there are 3 courts and people have to schlep nets to the court and set it up to be able to play. So what this does is actually install nets in the ground. So instead of intermittently throughout the day, people exchanging equipment, people can just play the same way you would bring a basketball to the park and shoot on a hoop. There would be a pickleball net there and you would just bring your own ball. So this is really needed. It'll really help resolve some of the conflict and really help the community. And it's great that people are getting exercise and having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, can we unmute Rita?
This is simple. They just wanted to bring some order to some disorder so that there would be no conversation over who owns the net, how the net got there, how long it's going to be there. So all they did was want to make it even. Call the question.
I think they just spoke, somebody else has the call question. Katie, call the question. Second. Okay, are there any people who are going to be opposed or abstaining on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain.
Oh, well, then we've got a few here, we better call the roll.
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos,
Yes.
Ashby,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Ferrera,
Yeah.
Can,
With the
Shu,
friendly amendment.
Yes, we're waiting, Shu.
She has a problem.
Cormac,
Yes.
Barber,
Yes.
Helen Clark,
Yes.
Hartsock,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Halpern,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Crickler,
Yes, excuse me, sorry.
Johnson,
She stepped out.
Later,
Yes.
Lev, yes, Mason,
Yes.
McClellan,
No.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Phillips,
Abstain.
Popper,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Has his conflict, has a,
okay, Sassman,
that,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Seligson, Sullivan,
Yes.
Selwyn,
Yes.
Swire,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Wall,
Abstain.
Warren,
No.
Weiner.
Yes.
All right, I think that passes 35 yes and 2 no's, 2 abstentions and lost.
Okay, and our next, resolution is, hopefully much less controversial. The League of Conservation Voters in New York Municipal Parks brought to our attention and to each of the community boards attention the cut in funding for the Parks Department. They have 800 fewer workers than they did, last year. They're the only agency that hasn't had their funding restored, in the July budget. It's impacting parks maintenance, PEP officers, cleanliness, significant impact on the parks. So we passed a resolution calling on, the city to restore funding for the Parks Department and encouraging as well, every community board to, do the same and have that brought to, the city as a whole and encouraging restoration of funding for the Parks Department. Yeah.
Call the question.
Second.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, so by acclamation, and then hopefully we can bring this to the borough board, so they encourage everybody to do the same.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Are you finished with your report?
Yeah.
I just had one question. In the minutes, it said that, with respect to the Callan Tower and the sinkhole, And the question was asked at the hospital, if they could assume additional cost if money was not available. Was there a yes or no or
It
maybe
wasn't
to that?
answered.
Oh, okay.
They expect to have the costs by the beginning of the year. Both are doing a study. And if Parks doesn't have the money for it, then we certainly will go to the hospital and ask if they can fund it.
All right, thank you. Okay, landmarks.
And the clock is until we get kicked out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Bay 23, 25 Madison Avenue, New Carolina, have a store on Madison Avenue. Can we have the images? The store was designated in 1981. The base has been changed 5 times since. In the upper, you see where it is today, and in the lower, you see it's the building on the left. And there's a 3 showing this. You can see the changes up and down. Let's go to the next slide. This is such a great slide. So this is the base of the building. When it was designated, it was all masonry. It's a federal style building, which means that it's related to work that was done in this country after the revolution. The limestone base is not atypical, but the brick is also very typical. And the intent was to bring back the masonry building. What you have is the 3 show windows on the base, the central one having the doors. On the right-hand side, you see the residential entrance, which is the black door on the left. And what you have, it's hard to tell in these slides, but you actually have a grid on the top 3 windows. And that grid is made up of 3-inch deep aluminum fins, and they're about 2.5 inches apart. And the glazing is actually sloping towards the front. And the idea is that it's picking up the idea of an awning without being an awning. It's sort of an architectural abstraction of an awning. And what it does, creates an unusual facade. It creates a little bit of texture as you look through, and it also acts as the sign there. So all of the metal is black anodized metal, aluminum, and the logo signs on the top and the lettering on the top. And that's all brass, and it's not showing very well, but according to the drawings, in the middle pier to the right of the entrances, there is a square logo, and that is meant to be, thank you, that's meant to be black aluminum on the masonry. So this is a resolution to approve. And, it was not unanimous, so I don't know anybody who was supposed to want to speak to it. Shall?
Yeah, I abstain. I abstain because for a lot of things in landmarks, I'm more comfortable when the issues sometimes are broken into one or more than one resolution. And that's how I felt in this case. I was very, very happy with the proposal of the brick facade. I thought that was great. I think the way that these are not awnings, these are really just posts of metal. I'm sorry that the picture wasn't more clear. I didn't think that was appropriate. And so I abstained because had it been in 2 parts, I would have voted yes for the brick and no on the awning.
It's such a long meeting. I really prefer cloth awnings. The new Armani building, which is absolutely magnificent, at the corner of 65th Street and Madison, has cloth awnings with metal grills above them. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. Anyway, that's why I voted no. It's the only one that voted no.
The only thing I would say, with respect to the discussion on the awning is that, this is very unique. The idea of these retail storefronts is to provide memorable, unique facades that people will think about when they're thinking of what store should we be going to. So
That's one of the, so that's obviously the reason that this was done.
Call the question.
And
Second.
all read the roll, please.
Are we doing roll? Do we need to? How many turns no's?
Abstention.
Gotcha.
One now. Okay.
Take the dog.
Okay.
And you're getting a discount.
Yeah. Oh, good. Next, we have 132 and 134 East 64th Street. These were, 2 of 4 townhouses built in the 1870s. The, only one of which remains in its more or less original state, which would be 128, the one furthest west. Let's see, where's the, okay. This first slide basically shows the current condition. The 2 subject buildings, 132 and 134, were altered in 1934 by the architectural firm of Boat and Paris, and they were actually pretty good architects, and this is probably their worst work. They took this,
I don't think you should say that.
it is.
I agree, but
Okay.
Whatever. At any rate, the ornament was stripped, and it was sort of a kind of a limestone-y color. It's been that way ever since the 30s. And the applicant proposes to restore the ornament on the front and restore its condition to more or less its visual appearance of, well, let's say close to 128, which is the one furthest to the furthest west. The applicant has proposed replacing what were originally, God only knows what they are now, but originally wood windows with aluminum. They also proposed a rooftop addition, which may or may not, depending on how you look at rooftop additions, block light to the building next door. They also are recreating the stoop. Oh, this is a great picture because it shows 128 there on the sort of yellowish looking one with the projecting bay. 130, which was Edward Durrell Stone's home, and it was renovated in the 50s. And then these 2 guys further east. And so they're proposing a rooftop addition, which may or may not block light. And they are also proposing to recreate one of the 2 original stoops, because this was a paired building. It is being converted to a single-family residence. So the stoop will project approximately 7 feet into the public way. 6 feet and 2 inches into the public way, forgive me. And, but they are also proposing a fence, which will come before the Transportation Committee, a fence that will also project into the public way, 6 feet 2 inches. I think that, in the rear, which you could, and you can see it here, if you look all the way over to the right-hand side, you see very faintly, you see the stoop pretty bold, and then sort of faintly above and below it in the drawing, there is the fence, which will project 6 feet 2 inches in front of the Edward Durrell Stone house, and 6 feet 2 inches in front of the building at the corner. And if you go to the next one, I think, oh yeah, okay, and then this gives you an idea of what it is. Current state is on top, sort of looking at it from the front and looking at it from the back, and the proposed condition with that rooftop addition and yeah, and the rooftop addition both ways, and you can see the way it will effectively block a portion of the building next door. Alina.
I oppose this along with most of the committee. One thing that Anthony did mention is that Landmarks Preservation Commission prefers that when you combine two houses, they look like it is one house, but they're not doing that. They say they are, but it really will look like one house. I mean, they want two houses that look like one house with the service entrance and the stoop for the fancy people. But the other thing I wanted to raise is that they are taking two buildings that have 8 units and they are turning it into a single family house. And even though it's not landmarks, I'd just like to note it that they are displacing 8 families or 8 people into New York's very overwhelmed housing market.
Right.
We have no right to say anything, but it should be noted anyway.
Okay, thank you, Alina, and it is noted in the resolution. Jim.
Yeah, did you just say the fencing will protrude in front of the Edward Durrell Stone?
No, it won't be in front of it, but it will project beyond the front plane.
Beyond the,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not going in
No, no.
front of them.
No.
Can we just have someone, perhaps David, explain why you voted in the other direction on this, please?
I think as an architectural composition, it's fine. I think that the fact that you have what appears to be the service door is actually the door that will be most used is not a problem. How they use it is really up to them. I felt that the rear was much improved. And as far as the fencing goes, I was going to leave that up to the wisdom of the transportation committee. As an issue of context and appropriateness, there is a lot of fencing, there's a lot of revocable consents. And although I felt it was out a little too far, that was not going to be my reason for rejecting something that I felt was a reasonably well done architectural composition.
And I would just like, as Alina has alluded, and as we discussed in the meeting, that just because we said yes before doesn't mean we should always say yes. Okay, Marco.
Thank you. I think I have to mention what Alida said. They convert 2 buildings, in each of them 4 apartments in 1 family house. We shouldn't even mention that, but I'm calling the attention of the housing committee to pay attention to this kind of trending that happened in this section 1. But doesn't have nothing to do with my analysis. The point is, in reality, yes, the stoop protrude 6 feet and 2 inches, but the fence it goes back a little bit. I don't know how much it is, but I have to be fair with the analysis. And the problem is, in this case, is when they enclose with the fence, coincidentally in the corner on the farther east, there is a big tree. So basically, the problem, there is a bottleneck in circulation, which is basically, I think, is more to occupy that space. When I asked him about the enlargement of the rooftop addition, he said that by zoning resolution, he is allowed to do that. And he's right. Now, with the same concept, the stoop in the front, once you remove the stoop from the way, you lose the grandfather. He cannot go bring back. However, I had to mention, it has some, sometimes in the past, we approved some this kind of situation, but in this case, they take too much of the public way. Now, let me go to the rear yard. The rear yard, my perception is, there is 2 positions. The position is, there are innovators and there are preservationists. Those that we believe in preservation, we believe that the dawn has to be dark. It has to be according with the tradition of the rear yard. And because it's not visible from the street, the innovators, which is basically have a, I mean, I like the design, and it be very clear. But it changed completely the donut become like a beacon in the rear. Now, if we analyze from the point of sustainability, This building, they have deep problems of transfer of energy, losing tremendously the energy, creating more carbon emissions. At the end of the day, we have to remember one thing, all of us, we have the moral responsibility to preserve this planet for future generations. Thank you.
Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think for me and a lot of us, the straw that broke the camel's back were the windows. I think once they said all aluminum windows, I think, I'm speaking for most of us, that was the killer. And I urge you to disapprove this. There's no reason while they're going through all of this that they can't put in and replicate the original windows. It's the modern version of a wooden window. You can get all the insulation and all the mobility and everything you want in a wooden window. You don't need to go aluminum. That was just disregarding, disrespecting this property, I thought.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to propose a substitute resolution, and which if seconded, I will speak to it. The substitute resolution would be to break this into two parts. A part that we would approve or that we would approve certain aspects and that we disapprove other aspects. I would put into the approval column, the restoration of the stoop, the restoration of the original detailing. Frankly, I think the addition is more a zoning issue than it is a landmarks issue. So I would put that in and I can go either way on the rear yard. In the disapproval column, I would put the fence and the aluminum windows.
I think they should say the airway. I think that's what it is.
Second.
I voted against the resolution because of the fact that the windows were gonna be aluminum, not wood, which was the original historic window.
Right.
So I think my proposal, my substitute resolution has been seconded, so I would like to just speak for a second on this.
9:12 everyone.
Okay, there is a lot that's good here. The ability to restore a stoop is pretty well established, particularly in historic districts. Unfortunately, we really don't have a say on the fact that the owner of the property wants to convert it from 8 to 1. I get it. It's unfortunate, but landmarks always reminds me that we have to vote on the landmarks piece. The fence is egregious. It is not necessary. It is not historic. And we should call out what we really don't like. I'm concerned with the risk that landmarks is just gonna override a blanket disapproval when there's a lot good here. So let's be very specific and surgical about what's bad.
Call the question.
Second, on the first, point
On the first part, the yes part.
Yeah, point of information.
On the approval?
yeah, so is,
Of the parts that was good to be approved.
are the window changes in the approval resolution?
No,
or-
they're
not.
Is the addition on the top in the approval or just,
What did he ask?
I put it in the approval.
what about we put it in?
It's not visible from the street. It doesn't cast a major shadow on anything. It's next to a court, the taller building next door to it.
Can somebody maybe just run down the list?
Okay. Okay.
You called the question.
People are getting clarification.
Yeah, because the question's been called, but I'm just recapping what we have here. What we have here is we have a yes to the facade restoration and a yes to reconstructing the stoop. And we have a yes to the rooftop addition
In the backyard.
and the backyard and the rear facade.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're voting on.
Okay. Is anybody question?
It's called.
The question's called. I was just,
Is anybody gonna vote against that piece?
you bet.
It's your meeting. Let's go. How many?
Call the roll, hit it.
Okay, Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos,
Yes.
Ashby,
Pause.
Karen,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
Abstain.
Flores,
Yes.
Ferrero,
Yes.
yeah,
No.
Sue, she's still on?
No, she's up.
Okay.
Sarah, did you say anything?
No, she didn't.
She's not saying.
yes.
Cone,
No.
Cormac, yes. Harbor,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Halpern,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson, Crickler,
Yes.
Webb, Mason,
Yes.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Yes. Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sassen,
Yes.
Tyler,
Sorry.
Yes.
Selway,
No.
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Tamayo,
No.
Wald,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Weiner.
No.
Okay, then going back to the passes. Ashby
Abstain.
and Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, wait, 35 yeses, 5 noes, and 2 abstentions, it passes.
Okay, second piece. Call for us. Okay. Second piece are the windows and the fence,
And the disapproval.
a disapproval.
Yes is a no.
So yes is a no. Is anyone voting no on this?
Addison.
Abstain.
Several.
Several, okay.
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos,
Yes.
Ashby,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Ferrero,
Yes.
Camp,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Yes.
Cormac, yes, Harbor,
Yes.
Clark,
Abstain.
Herzog,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yeah.
Halpern,
No.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Abstain.
Crickler,
No.
later. Webb,
No.
Mason,
Yes.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Rita?
I answered yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Sanchez,
No.
Sassen,
Unmute.
Sorry, I was not muted. No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Seligson.
Yeah.
Abstain. Selway,
Yes.
Squire,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Tamayo,
Yes.
Wald,
Yes.
Warren,
No.
Weiner.
Yes.
Okay, so with 31 yeses, 8 noes, and 3 abstentions, that passes. Thanks.
Can we have the next slide? Next one is 945 Madison Avenue, the original Whitney Museum. This is a very unusual situation. This is not an application. This is a request from Doug Omomo to support them in their having requested that the Landmarks Preservation Commission designate the interiors of this former museum as an interior landmark. There are very few interior landmarks, I think 129, something to that effect. And they are important spaces like Grand Central and Main Hall and that and so on down the line. However, there are important spaces in modern architecture. And this particular building is designed by Marcel Breuer, one of the great American architects. And when we looked at it, we felt that at least some of the interiors are well worth preserving. Doug Momo asked us to support them. They didn't ask us to say that every single square inch should be preserved. So if you read the resolution is framed the same way that Doug Momo asked us to frame a letter. Namely, we are encouraging the Landmarks Preservation Commission to landmark the interiors. And we're not saying which ones, but I'm going to show you which ones I think are probably most important based upon Dr. Momo's position and our own conversation. So, what happened to the first slide? I'm purposely using the black and white photos.
So, good idea.
Momo is an organization dedicated to preserving modern architecture.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry, I thought I had said that if I didn't.
Okay, there's a little bit too much conversation going on, sidebars.
In any event,
Don't make me call out names.
I do have a couple of photos at the end, color photos at the end, but I thought it was important to see the original building. On the left is the original rendering, and on the right is the building as it was built next. This is the bridge across the sculpture court. This plays into the interiors because there's a lot of transparency, but the whole exterior is protected by the fact that it's part of the historic district. Next. This, of course, is the main lobby. The grid of the circular lighting fixtures is very unusual. The dark gray granite and the board formed concrete have been taken into the interior. Question at this point?
May we call the question? We've got 5 minutes.
I'm going to give you 1 more minute. And then you can call the question.
Okay, I have a question. Chuck, keep going.
Just keep going. Here you see how the inside and the outside work together. This photograph picks up everything. It's sort of an architectural sculpture. You get a very important stair on the right, although not showing you the details tonight because there's only so much time. But you get the bridge, you get the interior, the cafeteria level, you get the bridge coming across, you get the whole sense of the 2 levels working together next. This is the top floor, and 4th floor gallery is the most important. It's open because of the inverted ziggurat. It's the largest, and it's a unique ceiling, just as the ground floor is also a unique ceiling. Next. Last but not least, it's important to save the windows from the interior, not necessarily cover them up, even though they would be saved on the exterior. So I thought it was important to see one of those windows, and this happens to be Marcel Breuer sitting in front of the window. Next. Adam, I'm not ignoring you, I'm trying to go quickly. Just so you see the exterior as it is today. Next. This is the last slide. This is the main lobby as renovated today.
I have a question.
Yes, Sam.
Where does Sotheby's stand on this proposal?
Now, according to Doug Momo, they're all trying to talk together. Right now, Sotheby's has made no commitments one way or the other to any of this. And you raised a very good question, and it came up at our meeting, namely, Landmarks is very careful about designating interiors for exactly the reason you're saying. There's no guarantee that the building will always be used the same way. As other entities take over the building and need to adapt it to their own particular purposes, Landmarks does not want to get into litigation. And particularly now that we know Sotheby's is going there, the question is how much Sotheby's is willing to preserve, how much they want to change. And that is a conversation, three-way conversation. It's not one that we are privy to.
Okay, questions been called?
The question.
Oh, we have questions.
Well, yeah, I have a question.
That's what I thought.
I didn't hear the question, Paul.
I thought we did.
I didn't hear it, so.
I don't, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go, let's call a roll.
Is anyone voting
I'll answer your questions personally.
The lighting.
I'm voting no.
Lighting included.
Is anyone else voting no?
The lighting
It's
is
in here,
included.
I scanned it, I couldn't pick it up.
The lighting is included. But the lighting is one of those critical issues because the lighting today is included.
Okay, is anyone voting no besides Sebastian and Adam? I'm gonna vote.
Okay, 3.
Who's abstaining? Okay, sorry. All right. That's it. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry that we're so abbreviated. Come on.
Okay, so we had no cannabis discussions or applications.
Okay, that's supposed to go. I'm sorry, I couldn't see your jump and, to go. So there's 5 no's. Adam, Sebastian, me,
One more of them there.
and Paul.
Paul's now. Just for the record, Paul say it.
No, thank you.
No. Anybody else?
I'm changing my vote after,
Okay, Kim.
Okay, Chuck is in the no.
Oh, one more.
Is that-
7.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack.
You can't get, okay,
No. What can I do? No.
Jack.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Lindsay, you're on the card that was so.
We had no cannabis applications, we had 3 liquor license applications, they were all unanimous. Sounds good to me. Yeah. All good. It was the fastest meeting we've ever had.
With the major delay.
With a major delay, yeah.
Yeah, is there anyone who's gonna vote against the applications? Okay. Thank you, Lindsay, for the best presentation of the evening. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, everyone. Have a great Thanksgiving, unless of course you're coming to the zoning and development committee meeting next week via Zoom. Thank you again, and thank you to everyone from the community who came out. And thank you to Hunter for hosting us.